created everything. Look what a powerful being you are. You did these things, but now you're in a human body, you forget the power you have.
What you do is what the whole universe is doing at the place you call here and now. You are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing.
You're doing it.
Doing what?
Using your imagination.
Welcome to Metamystics, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today is going to be quite a doozy. Here we are, literally recording on the night of the equinox, or the day of the equinox, I should say. So happy Mabon or Mabon or Mabon,
yeah.
However you would say it. It's the autumnal equinox. So, I mean, of course, nobody's going to be able to listen to this until, if you're on Patreon, you'll be able to listen to it tonight. Or tomorrow morning, I'm not sure. Whenever it's going to get posted. By the way, if you want to come check us out at Patreon and get access to all of these shows days in advance, and listen to the shows completely commercial free, be able to slide into our DMs and be able to see all the video, and be first to see all the videos. And it's the best way to be able to support the show. Just go to patreon.com/metamystics. That link is down in the show notes below. We have a tier that is so affordable for literally anybody. I mean, my 13-year-old can invest in this. I mean, it's $3.33 a month.
Yep.
And you get access to 8 shows a month that we're doing. And it's a great way to be able to support us. If you want to join us for the live show, then just go sign up for Wonder Wiz Day. That is $8.88 a month, so you get access to everything that I just mentioned. Plus, you'll be able to come and join us every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. And it's a great time. So come and hang out with us.
It's always a good time, man. You know, every time you say Metamystics, it was like throwing me off in the beginning. Like, I was really surprised that you were able to just like remember every single time that we switched our name up. But every time you said it, it would like throw me off just a smidge. But I think I'm starting to believe already. You know what I mean? That's half the battle.
Yeah. It's really, it's actually really interesting because I just bought a book. So every time, so I have my daughter every other weekend, right? Because we live in different states. So every time, I get together with her, we always go and do something fun. And usually she wants to go to the bookstore, which I'm here for. I love the bookstore. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, it don't matter. I'm here for all of it, right? Because they always have a spiritual section in there,
Mm-hmm.
And in that spiritual section, you can find all the metaphysical books, all the magic and the witchcraft and literally anything you want if you've ever been to a bookstore. And they also have like all of your different oracle decks and your tarot decks and your tarot books and literally books about whatever it is. I mean, spiritual, metaphysical, religious, it's all there. And I just love looking through it. And I usually get a new deck and a new book every time I go. So
right on.
I need to start giving away some of these decks because I'm never going to be able to use all of them.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, the most recent deck that I just bought was the Alice in Wonderland deck. So it's a pretty cool one.
Dude, we should pull one from that deck tonight, I think.
It's actually awesome. it's an oracle deck. So
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we can pull that on top of the regular tarot.
I'm down.
Because I feel like the oracle is more of just like a magnifier,
Yeah.
So
indeed.
Anyway, I've been reading this book and I was like pulled to this book because first of all, the cover on it is so sick. But it's called Mastering Magic. And it's by this author. Also, he's a magician. His name is Matt Oren.
Okay.
And you can see it right there. I mean, we don't have any plug to him or anything like that, but I was just like so drawn to this book and I was like, oh my God, let me get this. And I started reading into it and I was like, and he's talking about, he goes, look, some people call it God, some people call it the universe. He goes, all of us magicians and mystics, we all call it the mysteries. And I was like, wow, all right, it's encompassed.
Interesting. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
I just love learning about that kind of stuff. And like we always say, we are not the teachers. We are, still students of the game itself. And so we're always soaking up more information. There's always going to be somebody that knows more than you. right? No
Yeah.
matter who you are, I don't care if you're 99 years old, you've been practicing the craft for 80 years, like somebody knows more than you.
That's actually
And-
my favorite, actually.
I
Like
know.
being able to talk to somebody that knows way more than I do on a given thing. Like that's my jam, dude. You know,
Dude, and it's the mark of an intelligent individual,
Mm,
knowing that they don't know everything,
right,
or
Mhm.
knowing that they know nothing, you know?
right, yeah, exactly.
That everything is pretty malleable, and your understanding of whatever your understanding is of now can
Mhm.
always evolve into something else. I mean, look at where we were a year ago. You know, totally different.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I look back, you know, to when I was like 25 years old, and I would say like, oh, you know, looking back, man, I didn't know shit. I was so dumb, and like just the way that I moved, not just the way that I looked at the world, but just the way that I did things and the way I thought about what I was gonna do or whatever. Like I can't even imagine going back into that mindset. You know what I mean? Actually, I would actually be curious to see what that's like, just to like go, holy shit, like what this is a different world, you know? But yeah, man, just in the last 2 years, I can say that the same thing, the same statement as I would for my 25-year-old self. You know what I mean?
I
Like how
think,
much we've changed.
look, Pandora don't go back in the box. That's the
No.
thing, is that like you can't, I mean, the toothpaste don't go back in the tube. Once it's out, it's out. And I think that, you know, whenever you are kind of, I guess like learning about all this kind of different stuff, that all the different philosophies and spiritualities and religious modalities and the UFO stuff and everything, right? Like you don't just unlearn that.
No.
You know, I think
No.
that probably the only way you could unlearn it, hypothetically, in quotations, would be to like, now I'm religious and all that stuff is demonic, right? Like that would be the only way.
Or just completely blue pill it, you know, and just try to find everything that you used to find joy in doing, you know what I'm saying? And just try to delve into that reality once again. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even think that that is doable. You know what
I mean, maybe a percentage
once you get
of
to
you
a certain
can.
point, I'm sure that there's things that, because there's things that I still like to do. Like I love watching movies. You know what I mean? Like a good film, dude. Like that's what I enjoy most. Like watching a good movie with my wife. But other than that, dude, there's a bunch of other things that I feel like I used to partake in and enjoy, and now I'm just like, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. You know?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know, and as a matter of fact, whenever I first started getting into a lot of this spiritual stuff was actually 2020, as a matter of fact, which is whenever I first started really looking into, honestly, that's whenever I started the Cult of Conspiracy was 2020. But it was also aligning, like I started the cult, and on that same process, I was trying to mend a lot of the spiritual stuff in there, right? And so actually, like one of the very first guests that I ever had on the cult was John McCluskey, who was,
right.
you know, the QHHT and the past life regression before I ever even got into it. I was just fascinated by it. And looking back at it, I'm like, that has nothing to do with conspiracies. Why did I even go there? You know, but it was just because I wanted the Cult of Conspiracy to be about conspiracies and spirituality, which I'm happy that Jacob doesn't even like to talk about that kind of stuff, because it allowed me to branch off to do a whole other episode that was strictly focused on the spiritual craziness, you know?
Well, if you think about it, man, like everything seems to start there. Like whether it's, if you want to call it the spiritual side or you want to call it with the mind, you know what I mean? Everything starts with the mind. And so how could you not look at the conspiracies or the whatever the topic or general idea you're heading towards? How can you not apply the mental and or spiritual aspect of that? Because it's all encompassing. You know what I'm saying?
It is. Yeah. I mean, I think that it can be for most people. And this is the thing that like, even before I ever started podcasting, I used to be a big listener to a lot of podcasts. But one of my favorite ones was always Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli. And, you know, lo and behold, a few years later, I end up, you know, me and Jacob end up going on his show, and we're talking about the Shroud of Turin, and then we get to meet him over at Bohemian Grove in Florida, and it was just a crazy, like, you know, full circle kind of thing. But whenever I was listening to him, and he used to always say this one thing to where he said, conspiracy always leads you to spirituality. And I was like, it has to. You know,
Right.
and I always thought that was so fascinating. And so I don't know, maybe that's really where it all started. Maybe Sam is the one that planted that seed. Who knows?
I mean, who knows? I mean, it makes sense though. You know, once your world is shattered, once you see that the lies, or once you see, you know, and not even to get too conspiratorial about it, but once you see that the world, the world that you thought it was is no more. It's definitely not that. It was definitely an illusion or some underlying fucking lens that you were looking at everything through, and now that thing is completely shattered. And so, like, well, now who am I if nothing I thought I was is?
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
So now you got to get spiritual, or you got to fucking go inward and you know, get to the deeper causes of everything.
There definitely seems to be some powers that are working seemingly beyond the veil, right?
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
you know, behind every great conspiracy, there's always some kind of puppet master. Like every single time, it's always somebody who's orchestrating all of this. And then you're like, all right, well, let me look into the different modes and modalities that they're using to implement their magical spells upon the rest of the world. And then that leads you into Rosicrucianism, and it leads you into Kabbalism, and it leads you into all these different, you know, symbolic synchronicities and magic and all these different spells. And you're like that is where the rabbit hole leads to. Like the rabbit hole always leads to spiritual processes and archetypes and all these different forces of everything. And you're just wondering, like, man, there is something so much, like the things that they're doing are beyond surface level. And
They're beyond comprehension. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it would be a little more obvious.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And that's why it's so genius. And we know how powerful symbols are, and how powerful frequencies are, and how all of these things that we've come to at least slightly understand, you know, on a higher level. It's like, if all of these things work, including magic, all of these things work, and we know that you take people, their energy and their attention away from whatever it is they're trying to do, and you put it towards the thing you want them to see, to charge up the battery that is the thing they're trying to accomplish. It's like, well, how do you not look at it that way now? You know,
Yeah,
in,
well,
in that frame of mind, there being a puppeteer, that is.
well, and there seems to be some kind of resonant frequency of the earth during crazy events, like leading up to crazy events. So,
Right.
for example, like, you know, this whole Charlie Kirk thing, we're not going to get into it, but that was a huge thing that just happened to humanity in a sense, right? The same
Yep.
thing with 9/11 and like crazy things like that. And I was recently, you know, going down a rabbit hole of this guy. He's a doctor, but he's like a neuroscience kind of doctor, right?
Okay.
And he was trying to measure what was, if we're looking at human consciousness as a singularity and not as a divisible by 8 million or 8 billion or whatever it is, right? However many
Yeah.
people there are on this, I think, what is it, 8 billion people on
Over
the earth
8
or something
billion.
like that.
Yeah.
And he goes, what if we just look at it as a whole and we found a way to measure that, right? And that's really where the idea, I believe, why people started looking into the Schumann resonance, which is
okay.
kind of crazy. And
Yeah.
I could just be, you know, drawing things together that don't match, but I think that that's really what, you know, if you were to kind of measure the frequency of everybody and everything, and if everything is one thing, then you should be able to measure, if it is one thing, then the earth would be a pretty good place to start, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And so he started realizing that moments, if not minutes before any of these crazy events happen, there was a massive spike in the Schumann resonance every single time.
Before the event.
Right before. Yeah. Almost as if
Whoa.
like we knew it was going to happen, but we didn't know what it was. But there was a spike in something that caused the Schumann resonance to spike like crazy.
Wow, dude, the frequency of the earth just had anxiety about something. You know what I mean?
That's what
Didn't
it
know
felt
what
like.
it was, but something is around the corner, dude.
Yeah. What is that?
Holy shit,
know?
dude.
Yeah,
that's
so
weird.
crazy. But anyway, I love looking at, you know, if we're to believe that everything is one thing and we're all really just one consciousness that believes that we're not, then just kind of looking at it as a whole. And whenever we say that everything is one consciousness, that doesn't necessarily mean just human conscious. And that is
okay.
where we're going to go today, as a matter of
Alright.
fact. The
Alright.
episode today, and you'll hear about it a lot, whether it is witches and wizards and warlocks and magicians and mystics and sages and gurus and shamans and all of them, like the high priestesses and high priests and all this kind of stuff. Every single one of them have found a way to be able to use the elements to their advantage in one way or another. And I always used to think, like, and we talked about the druids, right? Same thing, right?
Yep.
Like working with the elements. And I just, man, how do you even wrap your mind around working with elements? Like, coming from the perspective that we have held here lately is
Right.
that if everything is one, then how are we to consciously connect with an inanimate object such as water or, wood
Yeah.
or fire or something like that? Because how do you even get into that mindset in order to connect to it, right?
See, the only thing that my mind immediately jumps to is just the symbolism of the things, water being fluid. And so it's more like emotions and it's kind of up and down, like a wave. And so you can look at the symbolic attributes of these things. But as far as applying the elements to your life or your practice and really trying to implement these things, that I'm with you. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I
know?
just find it so damn fascinating. And I think that this will broaden our understanding of what it means to connect with the all.
Okay.
And so let's get all the way weird, baby.
Let's do it.
So today we are getting into elemental magic with fire, water, air, earth, and let's just throw the ether in there for fuck's sake.
Let's do it, dude. Oh, yeah. I like when you do it.
Yeah. So
You know?
ether also, you could also substitute it with spirit. Same thing, to be honest, I think.
All right. Sounds good. The unseen, if you will.
The unseen forces, yes, that
There you go.
everybody, kind of, we all know that it's there, right?
Yep.
And dude, I heard somebody say that, we call it the sixth sense, but I really think that it's the first. And I was like,
Oh,
yes,
that's cool.
Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, it's kind of awesome. So tonight we're going to journey into the oldest spiritual framework in human history, the elements of fire, water, air, earth, and the mysterious fifth element, ether or spirit. The ancients saw the elements not just as substances, but as living forces that shaped all existence. Modern science may describe them differently, but at their core, the truths remain the same. Fire transforms energy. Water flows through endless cycles. Air carries invisible currents. Earth anchors us in form. And the ether, though dismissed by modern physics, which, not shocking, still lingers in our language of fields, space, and spirit. So this episode is about bridging the gap to show how science and mysticism are two languages describing the same world, to reveal how magic is real, alive, and usable, and to remind you that working with the elements isn't superstition, it's remembering how to speak to the forces of reality itself. So tonight, let's light the fire, pour the water, breathe the air, ground in the earth, and step into the ether. Let's make magic real again.
Dude, let's.
Let's
I'm
go,
with you.
baby. Yes. So first, I figure we'll go to a website right quick, and it's actually a place that we've gone to in the past. It is witcheslore.com.
All right.
So in Witches Lore, on this website, it says elemental magic, the 5 elements in witchcraft. Now, it's not only bound to witchcraft. Like every form of mystic has worked with these elements to some manner in the past. We mentioned the druids earlier. They're not the only ones. We mentioned the witches. They're not the only ones. We mentioned literally anybody who has ever tried to connect with the all, whatever you want to call it, whether it's the universe, whether it's God, whether it's the one, the source, whatever it is, most people know that truth is always found in nature. So why not go right to that source?
I
right?
love it.
So in this one, it says, It says, greetings, fellow witches. As practitioners of magic, we understand the power and significance of the elements in our craft. Whether it's invoking the winds for clarity of thought, calling upon the earth to ground our energy, or communing with the waters for emotional healing, the elements are an integral part of our spiritual practice. Understanding the elements and their energies can help us deepen our connection with the natural world and enhance our magical abilities. In this guide to elemental magic, we will explore the 5 elements. Fire, earth, air, water, and spirit. See, some people interchange them. Spirit, ether, same thing, right?
Yep.
And their correspondences, including their colors, directions, symbols, and magical associations. We will also delve into the principles of elemental astrology, which provides valuable insights into the connection between the elements and the zodiac signs. Throughout this guide, we will also discuss rituals and ceremonies that can be used to connect with the elements. We will also explore the principles of elemental astrology and how to use this knowledge to enhance our magical practice and deepen our connection with the natural world. I hope this guide will serve as a valuable resource for you as you explore the magic of the elements. Remember, the power of the elements is within you, and by connecting with them, you can transform your life and your magical practice. May the winds carry you, the earth ground you, the air inspire you, and the water heal you on your magical journey. Before we start, it's important to note that elemental magic is a complex form of magic that requires a deep understanding of the elements and their properties. It is essential to approach elemental magic with respect and caution. It is also important to note that this guide is intended to serve as a starting point for your elemental magic journey. It is not an exhaustive guide, and you should continue to research and learn about elemental magic as you practice it. Now, we've heard how many magicians have come on this show, whether it's Lord Byron or EA or you name them. I mean, we've had several of them on the show. They almost all talk about if they're trying to connect with a deity, a spirit, an angel, a demon, an old god, a new god, whatever, right? They all talk about getting to know them as much as they possibly can, right? Like, what is it? What can I learn about this individual so that I can use them a little bit more in my magical practices? If we're looking at them as strictly archetypes, right? Then you would want to know every single thing about that archetype as humanly possible. It's like whenever you're looking at a tarot card, at first it's okay. If you only get a one word that pops up into your mind every time you see a tarot card, that's a good start, but it's not the whole of the story. You want to look at what are they holding? What's the color of the sky? What's the color of their clothes? You want to know all the different symbolisms that is being represented within each card. And so that's where we're going with this. Yes, water is wet, but what is it? What else is it beyond that? Right?
Right.
So that's what we're going to be trying to touch on today. So, of course, you got to start with Earth. Oh, Earth. Here we go, baby.
Yep.
So, Earth embodies the embodiment of stability, grounding, and material abundance. It is the fertile soil that nurtures life, the mountains that rise with unwavering strength, and the foundation on which we build our spiritual journeys. Just as the earth provides sustenance for all living beings, this element enables witches to manifest their desires, anchor their intentions, and connect with the physical world. It aligns us with the rhythms of nature and helps us find balance, resilience, and prosperity. Earth is often connected with the practical aspects of life, including abundance, prosperity, physical health, and fertility. It influences our connection to the physical body and the material realm. Earth magic is especially potent for grounding and centering oneself, establishing boundaries, and bringing stability during times of chaos or emotional upheaval. By harnessing the Earth's elemental energy, witches can create foundations for their intentions and manifest their desires in a tangible and grounded manner. So already you're starting off like, okay, we can look at it for its certain aspects, and you can see at least on the surface about how you may apply the earth in your magical practice, right?
Yeah, well, for example, just the mind aspect of it, understanding that you are of this earth. I mean, that you at least grew out of it, through a long, who knows, maybe an infinite chain of events. Out came you eventually, you know what I'm saying? And so you are part of it, and so why wouldn't you look to the earth and things like that to gain some sort of knowledge or understanding, for the mind. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that it's important to try and include it as far as our understanding, because whether you think that this is all a simulation or a matrix or whatever, you have to understand that like our body is also part of that matrix, right?
Mhm.
So like because without this matrix, we don't have a body anymore. So you may as well learn how to play in it, you know?
That's right.
Like
Yep.
look at the sandbox and think don't worry so much about why am I trapped in this sandbox, and you're worried about the whole Anunnaki thing, and here they are, they just want me to mine all these sandcastles. Don't worry about that. Like
No.
look at it in the sense of, oh man, I get to create these awesome
Right.
sandcastles. I get to dig these crazy trenches, and I can, make a drawbridge, and the goal here is to create. So why not understand all the elements that you have right in front of you all the time to be able to create in the way that I believe that we were put here for, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as far as just the whole aspect of maybe there's something after this, right? But like right now, we're here, and so we should at least just experience this to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, not worrying about like, oh, we're trapped here. It's more like we're just experiencing this. So make it the best possible thing you can, rather than fearing everything.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
dude, I'll tell you what, there's been times where I've been put in situations to be able to succeed, and I didn't take it seriously enough. And I look back with like regret almost. Not so much
Yeah.
anymore. I don't really hold any regrets, but there was a period in my life where I would look back that, oh man, I was in such a good position, or I had a really good opportunity and I just let it squander itself, right?
Yep.
And that's probably the worst feeling, because you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of yourself given whatever position or situation that you're in. It's always regret is not so much about like, oh, I wasn't presented with this opportunity. Like nobody's regretful for something that they were never presented the opportunity for, right?
Right.
You're regretful for having an opportunity and not taking advantage of it.
Right.
Right?
And it doesn't serve you very well to look back and kick yourself in the ass when you're now in this situation or this predicament. It's like try to experience this the best you can. That way you don't miss future or current opportunities.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that, you can sit there and regret. But ultimately, if you're not using regret as a tool to better you and make you more aware of opportunities that present themselves in the future, then there's no point in regret in the first place. If you really
Exactly.
think about it. Like if you're not using it as a tool, then don't use it at all.
Right.
You know?
And I would probably say don't use it at all. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, you can remember the bad decisions you've made that got you here, but don't sit there and put yourself on a lower frequency in the process, because then, like I said, you might just miss out on opportunities coming forward. You know what I mean? Or going forward.
Yeah, I think so. So anyhow, incorporating earth in witchcraft. To embrace the earth element in witchcraft, one can partake in various practices. Spending time in nature, whether it be through forest walks, gardening, or simply sitting on the earth, allows us to attune ourselves to Earth's vibration and draw inspiration from its wisdom. Incorporating natural materials like stones, soil, plants into spells, rituals, or altars can enhance the connection to the earth element. Additionally, crafting charms or talismans using earth-associated symbols such as the pentacle, the labyrinth, or representations of animals connected to the earth can strengthen the bond with this element. Working with grounding meditation or visualization techniques allows us to align with the earth's stability and find our inner balance. The earth element serves as a grounding force in witchcraft, reminding us of our deep connection to the physical realm and the rhythms of nature. By embracing this element's energy, witches can cultivate stability, abundance, and resilience in their magical practices. Whether through incorporating natural materials, performing spells focused on manifesting abundance, or spending time in nature, the earth element offers a steadfast foundation upon which witches can build their craft. So let us immerse ourselves in the earth's embrace and embark on a journey of connection, prosperity, and spiritual growth. So this is pretty interesting, and they bring up the different correspondences for Earth, which I find pretty fascinating, just as far as symbolism goes.
Okay.
So the gender for Earth is feminine. Obviously, it's Mother Earth, right? It's always
nurturing.
birthing new things
Yeah.
all the time. The time is quite interesting, but it does make sense. It says the time that it corresponds with would be the nighttime. And I guess it does really make sense because without the sun, it would always be dark anyway. And the sun isn't necessarily an element of the Earth, right? It's
That's
separate from
true.
the Earth.
Right. I see
So
what you're saying.
pretty interesting
Okay.
that way.
Hmm.
Which then, by accepting that, you would also have to agree that the season would be winter because without the sun, it would probably just snow a lot. It would just be
Right.
cold as shit all the time.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm with you.
The direction is north, which I guess also kind of makes sense if we are always stuck on a pole and that pole is always aligned with the North Star.
Right.
I
Okay.
guess it makes sense. Most of the time that people align any ancient spiritual practices, just as we heard from Symbolic Studies the other night, it was always aligned with polar deities, and it was always the northern hemisphere that was always working with them.
Yep. Exactly.
So it makes sense that it would be north. That being said, the planets that would also be around would be Venus and Saturn. Venus makes sense because we're close to Venus, aren't we?
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on with Saturn. What's the deal?
Well, Venus is the morning star. It's the first star in the sky in the morning, right?
Okay.
So maybe that makes the most amount of sense. Saturn, well, I mean, I know a lot of dark magicians out there that definitely work with Saturn more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah.
And we can go on and on with all these different things, but I just find it pretty fascinating just with all of the different correspondences. I mean, it brings up different herbs.
What's the food and drink?
The food
out of
and
curiosity.
drinks would be root vegetables, grains, nuts, and herbal teas. Everything that comes from the earth
Awesome.
naturally.
Okay.
So the earth magical properties would be stability, grounding, abundance, fertility, manifestation, and practicality. Interesting. The manifestation's on there. I like it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Especially of the physical, you know?
Yeah, check out the different nature spirits. So you would have gnomes, trolls, fairies, and earth elementals.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yep.
makes sense because anytime that, like the people of old always spent time outside, right?
Mhm.
And most of the time, those were elements that you would find outside. Your
Yeah.
fairies and your gnomes and the trolls, they were always like outside kind of creatures,
Right. Right. And I remember we had a show, I forget who we were talking to at the time, but we were talking about like the earth spirits or the nature spirits, right? And I remember the very next day, I was just like, I put my awareness to like the trees because they were blowing in the wind, and one of the trees like moved. I don't know. It was just like a little bit different than the rest, and I noticed it. And then I started to think about that whole aspect of the nature spirits or whatever. And then I looked over to my left and found a $20 bill on the ground, and it was just like this magical thing that happened to me because it's like if it would have happened and I wasn't even thinking about that whole thing and I just found the money, it's like, okay, I wouldn't even put two and two together. But because of how it happened and what my mind was doing, and then I find money out of nowhere, I don't know. It was just like, oh shit!
It's
like
almost
it was
like
no accident.
it's almost like the earth rewarded you.
Yeah, because I noticed it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then I just manifested something in the. I don't know. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know.
Sorry. So we're going to go over a lot of this a little bit later, but this is kind of just an outline because what we're getting into later is going to be so much deeper, and it's going to deepen and broaden your understanding of the elements, probably far more than definitely either one of us have ever, looked into.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And we've talked about the elements whenever we read the Magician. Remember, it went into working with the elementals. And at the time, it was kind of something that almost went over our head because we were still, young in our understanding. And I mean, we still are very young in our understanding. There's no doubt about that. But the path is of the mystic. Okay.
That's right.
And
that's right.
that's just
At
where
least
we're
we're
gonna
on
keep
the
it.
path. You know.
We are on the path. We are on the fool's journey. I don't know what
That's
step
it.
we're on yet, but we're definitely
know, right?
we're no longer just the fool.
That's
I would
right.
say we're at least at the magician. At the
least.
least.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Minimum.
At the minimum. I don't know. I feel like we've crossed the tower so far. You know?
Oh yeah. I think so. There's no going back. Let's just say that.
No, there ain't. So the next one we're going to get into is air. Air is a force that is both seen and unseen, carrying the energies of communication, intellect, inspiration, and transformation. Just as the wind whispers secrets through the trees, air symbolizes the realm of thoughts, ideas, and the power of the mind. It holds the potential for clarity, mental agility, and the swift currents of change. By tapping into the essence of air, witches can amplify their intellectual capacities, enhance their intuition, and facilitate the free flow of energy within their craft. Air magic encompasses themes of intellect, communication, inspiration, and travel. It aids in enhancing mental clarity, fostering effective communication, and seeking truth and wisdom. By working with the air element, witches can harness its energy to stimulate creativity, promote clear thinking, and invite swift transformation in their lives. It serves as a conduit for ideas to take flight and for intentions to be carried far and wide.
I love that. Just to put it in terms that like of the now, you know what I mean? If you're outside and you're really putting your awareness and you're really directing all of your attention on just how the wind is flowing and how it feels, and you're putting your mind to just that aspect of what the wind does. You know, you're definitely not looking at your phone. You're definitely not doing some shit that doesn't serve you. You're paying attention to that and allowing your mind to process and do things that it's supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know.
You know what? It always
where I went
seems
with
like every time the wind is blowing, it seems like it's an effortless kind of movement. You know, like it's doing so without forcing it.
Well, the wind is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like you never feel like, oh, the wind's not supposed to be doing this right now. It's like exactly doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's nature, you know?
Well, and you think about it, without the wind, you know, you wouldn't have pollen from trees and from roses and all the flowers and all the different plants spreading across all the land, which would help with all the vegetation of everything, right? And so it all serves one major like divine focal point. And it all just works in communion because it knows, almost like it knows its duty, and it doesn't hesitate to do it.
Right. It doesn't have second thoughts or doubts about itself. You know what I mean? It just does.
It just knows. Yeah. So to embrace the air element in witchcraft, practitioners can engage in various practices that attune them to its energy. Spending time in open spaces such as parks or hilltops and feeling the gentle caress of the wind on one's skin creates a direct connection with the air's essence. Utilizing feathers, incense, or smoke in rituals and spellcasting can invoke the transformative power of air. Visualizing oneself surrounded by a gentle breeze or conducting breathwork exercises can help align with the energetic currents of air. Furthermore, crafting and utilizing wind chimes or sigils featuring symbols associated with air, such as birds, feathers, or spirals, can deepen the connection with this element. Engaging in divination practices such as scrying or working with oracle cards can also tap into Earth element's intuitive and insightful aspects. The air element serves as an ethereal force within witchcraft, elevating our practice by stimulating intellectual growth, fostering effective communication, and facilitating transformation. By embracing air's energy, witches can enhance their intuitive capacities, harness the power of their thoughts, and invite swift change into their lives. Through mindful engagement with the element, whether through visualization, breathwork, or incorporating air-associated symbols and materials into rituals, we can soar on the winds of inspiration and embrace the limitless possibilities that air bestows. So, let us open our minds, breathe deeply, and dance in harmony with the enchanting power of air.
That's great. It gets me to think of that quote Alan Watts said, as far as you are doing exactly what the universe is doing, just like a wave is doing what the ocean is doing. And so if you are visualizing the wind and you are in that space where that wind is happening and you're able to see the thing spinning or whatever it is that you're using, the smoke spiraling, it's putting you right in tune with that moment in time with the wind. You know what I mean? And so it's like you're really almost like hemi-syncing with the earth itself.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
That's a perfect way to put that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting how that works, dude.
Mhm.
But there are correspondences for air. So the gender is masculine.
Okay.
Man, maybe because it forces its way through no matter where it's going.
I'm not sure. No idea.
The time is dawn. So,
Yeah, I don't know how they come up with these ones.
I'm sure there's a rhyme or a reason. I just don't know how to wrap my mind around certain things like that. The season would be spring. That makes sense. You know, it's carrying all the different seeds and all the different pollens and everything everywhere. Makes sense. The direction would be east.
Okay.
Right. So I guess that's just the natural flow of the winds, maybe.
I have no idea. I don't know.
I
I wish I did.
And let's go on. The tarot card would be the suit of swords, which we didn't read the earth one, but I kind of have a idea. It would
Well,
be
the sword cuts through the air. you
yep.
know.
And so the earth card would be pentacles.
Oh,
Okay,
all right. Okay.
makes sense, I guess. Then you have the air animals would be birds, butterflies, dragonflies, owls, and hawks. So that's pretty interesting if you think about it, because you're not just working with the air, you're also working with the air, elementals, the air animals at that point.
Animals
And what is
yeah.
because without the wind, does the eagle fly as far as it needs to? Does it have to put in so much effort? Because you think about it, most of the air creatures, they're going with the wind. They're not necessarily going against it. That's just going to cause them to exert a lot more energy. They'd much rather go with the flow of the wind.
Right. Exactly. A quick thing that happened recently, my wife, she had a final exam to do, and it was her second attempt, to make sure that she was going to pass this test. And if she would have failed it, I don't think she would have failed out of the class because her grade's high enough or what have you. But basically she needed to pass it. And so she was already at school and I had just got home from work, and right above our door on the wall was I believe it was called, well, it was a huge moth, but there was a name of this moth, and it was like it was a hummingbird moth. And so immediately, because it caught my eye and it was so big, and just the timing of it, dude, it like lined up perfectly with kind of what we were trying to make happen, almost like it was a messenger of some sort, to bring us some type of luck, or like, if not luck, then at least like a reassurance. You know what I mean? And it was one of those air animals, or insect. But
And dude, there's actually a lot of spiritual connection to the moth as well. A lot like it's almost like the phoenix. Like it's a very spiritual kind of connection that you can build with the phoenix. And like the dragon and stuff like that. The moth is right up there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what made me think of it, was that book that you showed me. Was that not a moth or was that a butterfly? I'm not sure.
I
know it had
actually,
eyeballs on it.
I
but
think it actually is a moth, bro.
I think
like
it is.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of that. And so, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when things like that happen, I feel like of all the houses that crazy looking moth could have landed on, and what we were going through and what it seemed to have meant spiritually, because I looked it up like immediately because I was like, oh, this is something, and I don't know. It felt right.
Well, and there's something to it too, because if you even think about it, like so a lot of people like going into the Bible and then looking up the original meaning of said words, whether it be, the ancient Greek way of understanding it, or the ancient Hebrew way of understanding it, or the Aramaic way of understanding it, right? Like, because Jesus spoke Aramaic and all these things, right? And whenever people look at what was the word that we know as spirit, what was that translated from? And it was always the breath. Like the breath is the spirit. And you think about breath, I'm sure that is perfectly in line with wind, right?
Right. Absolutely. Air. Yeah.
Right. It's
Definitely.
literally like you can't do it without air, you know?
Dude.
And if we are not generating some kind of wind every time we speak, I don't know what is,
Yep.
So that would be the air. The nature spirits would be the sylphs, the fairies, and the sprites. Interesting.
Okay.
The deities associated with the air element would be Hermes, Iris, Thoth, Athena, and Mercury.
Okay.
Shout out to Thoth, dude. I always like to give him a shout out every time we can, dude. You know?
Absolutely.
He's one of the OGs of this show.
Yeah.
The next element, we're going to be getting into water. Now, this is where it's going to start getting wild. I'm going to tell you that.
All right.
So,
I'm ready.
and like my two favorite ones that I've looked up, because I did a lot of research before this, my two favorite elements that I looked up were fire and water. And
right.
you'll see why, because it gets wild.
Right.
So water, the element of fluidity and intuition, mirrors the ebb and flow of life itself. It represents the vast seas, serene lakes, and soothing rivers that nourish the earth and all living beings. In the realm of emotions, water governs the depth of our feelings, encouraging us to embrace vulnerability, intuition, and empathy. By connecting with the water element, witches can navigate the currents of their emotions, tap into their psychic abilities, and embark on a journey of healing and spiritual transformation. Now, before I read any farther, I do want to just say this. If for nothing else with this show, if you're not going to be working with the elementals or anything like that, just at least use it for your tarot understanding. Right? Because every single tarot card has air, earth, water, fire. It's always something associated with it. Right? And so if you're not going to use it, at least understand its symbolism, which is, to be honest, it's the main reason why I wanted to do it, because I was trying to deepen and, broaden my own personal understanding of the tarot itself. And I feel like if you can at least get a decent understanding of the elements, you'll be able to apply that to every single tarot card.
Oh, absolutely. And I really like, and what we probably should do, and I think I might, is go through the tarot deck like Mario was saying, as far as like just take one card and just try to fully understand that card to the best of your ability before you move on to another one. You know what I mean? Just really fully embody and try to take what you can from that card, and then move on. So I think we might have to do that for sure.
That's actually a really good idea.
And just start with the major arcana if you wanted to first, or whatever you want. Start with pentacles and just go through all those first, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And honestly, look, there's 78 cards in a tarot deck, right? There's 52 weeks in a year, and we do 2 shows a week.
Right.
We could do 1 tarot card per episode. Honestly, if we really wanted to, just maybe towards the end or every time we pull one, right? It's like, all right, here's the next one we're going to try and really depict and really understand. And, all of this, what is witchcraft and magic and spirituality if it's not being put into practice anyway?
That's it.
You know? So,
absolutely.
I don't know. That could be something we look into. But anyway, water magic encompasses themes of emotion, intuition, healing, purification, and spiritual transformation. It allows witches to dive deep into their emotions, heal past wounds, and connect with their inner wisdom. By working with the water element, practitioners can harness its energy to enhance their psychic abilities, facilitate emotional healing, and invoke a sense of divine flow and receptivity within their craft. Now, if you think of every time there's a baptism, usually water involved, right?
Yep.
And so maybe that element in and of itself plays a major role in shedding one's old body and coming into the rebirth new version of you. Know?
Right.
And if you think about it, every single time you're born, I mean, we've only ever, consciously remembered being born once. But whenever you're born, like the mom's water has to break first. And you're coming out of, literally, as it puts it in the Bible, out of the matrix whenever you come out of your mother.
Right. Wow.
So the woman's vagina is referred to as a matrix, like a fucking portal. Real shit
in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So you're born from the waters, essentially.
Right.
And so that's the whole idea of baptism, is to be reborn again from the waters itself. Just the symbolism of it. So incorporating water in witchcraft To embrace the water element in witchcraft, there are various practices that witches can engage in to connect with its energy. Spending time near natural water bodies, such as oceans, rivers, or even taking soothing baths can attune one to water's essence. Collecting and consecrating water from sacred sources or infusing water with intentions and blessings can create potent magical elixirs. Incorporating seashells, coral, or other marine elements in altars or spells can also enhance the connection with water. Furthermore, engaging in scrying or mirror divination rituals, as well as working with dream magic and intuitive practices, can tap into the depths of water's wisdom. Creating ritual baths or performing water-based rituals for emotional healing, purification, or manifestation can be a powerful way to work with water's transformative energy. Meditation and visualization techniques can involve immersing oneself in the imagery of water, or swimming in an ethereal sea can also deepen the connection to water. Wow.
Dude.
A meditation and visualization of you swimming in an ethereal sea. That's
I need
awesome.
that. Sign me up.
All day. So, water, with its mystical depths and ever-changing nature, holds a special place within witchcraft. By embracing the essence of water, witches can explore the vast seas of their emotions, tap into their intuitive powers, and embark on a journey of healing and spiritual transformation. Through practices such as connecting with natural water sources, utilizing water in rituals or spell work, or engaging in divination and intuitive exercises, we can immerse ourselves in the enchanting flow of water's energy. So, let us surrender to the currents, dive into the depths, and allow the mystical waters to guide us on our magical path of emotional healing, intuition, and spiritual growth. You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember in Space Jam, you know, the Toon Squad, you know, Michael Jordan's team was getting that ass whooped at halftime.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael Jordan, in all of his brilliance, he said, I'm going to give them some of this magical juice. Right. And he goes and he says, look, you drink this, you are going to outperform everybody. You are just going to go crazy. And he gives it to all of them. They all believe it. Right. Because they all asked him, like, what's that one thing? How do you do it? And so he just comes up with this thing on the spot. It was water. Right. Yeah. It was nothing special. It was just regular tap water. It wasn't even anything crazy. Right. But they all believed it. And
Working
that water.
placebo.
It was just a placebo effect, really. But that water was essentially a placebo symbol, in a sense, that they ingested something, and that something is going to allow them to play as if they were Michael Jordan, right?
That's a magical elixir, if you will.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And it's crazy. It's not really that crazy, because even if you think about it, there's holy water, right? And like anytime there needs to be any kind of exorcism, or, you know, you go and get baptized, or you go and get confirmed into Catholicism or whatever, there's always the water that goes on your head, right? And there seems to be some kind of spiritual connection all the time to water. And is it because it's so malleable and so easily accessible, and people always use whatever was accessible to them all the time in their spiritual aid? Like all the time. It was whatever you had with you. It was just like Nevermore Aries said, like, whatever you got in your kitchen, dude. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's that, and also none of us can live without it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, our bodies are, you know, over 70% water, as is the Earth's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are essentially water sacks, you think about it.
Yep. Without it, dude, we are nothing.
Right. And so it's just, I mean, if you really think about it, if all we are is, you know, energy, vibration, and frequency, you know, we're made up of water. So essentially our being is a frequency that is made from the water itself.
That's right. We're just cymatics now.
That's all. That's really it. Yeah.
Right.
You know? So it's not really that crazy that whenever, you know, you're feeling a certain way in your mind, the rest of your body emulates it.
That's right. Yeah, dude.
You know? So yeah, here we are just crystallizing shit in our entire body. We don't even know it.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's all the different, you can incorporate the water in your witchcraft and everything too. I can't remember did I read that far yet? Am I tripping?
It's hard.
Oh
for me
yeah,
to see
yeah,
from-
I did. Okay, so water. It says that the gender of water would be feminine.
Okay,
Makes sense.
that one makes sense to me.
It does.
Yeah,
You know, we
Mhm.
come from the water. Women.
Yep.
I mean, you got to
Yep.
come from a woman. You know,
that's right.
or a woman. You know.
Oh, right.
So the season would be autumn,
Okay.
which is interesting. The evening or the time would be evening. Right. The direction would be west. The tarot card would obviously be the suit of cups. The water animals that you would attach to this would be fish, dolphins, turtles, swans, and seals.
Okay.
So if you're just trying to use a symbol, that's, you know, the one that people usually go to. The nature spirits would be undines. Never heard of that. Mermaids or water nymphs. Okay. Yeah. So pretty interesting.
cool.
The deities associated with the water element would be Aphrodite, Poseidon, Yemaya, Isis, and Danu.
Okay.
I like seeing Poseidon on
Right.
there. Poseidon
Yeah.
makes sense to me. And not finally, because we still got the spirit or the ether. But next, we are going to get into fire. So fire dances with an intense and captivating energy, embodying the qualities of passion, creativity, willpower, and transformation. It is the spark of inspiration that ignites our desires, fuels our ambitions, and drives us forward. Just as fire can both nurture and consume, the fire element in witchcraft represents the potent force of change, the catalyst for spiritual growth, and the embodiment of personal power. By harnessing the essence of fire, witches can kindle the flames of their intentions, manifest their desires, and embody the transformative nature of this element. Fire magic encompasses themes of passion, willpower, courage, purification, and transformation. It empowers witches to ignite their creativity, fuel their ambitions, and embrace their personal power. By working with the fire element, practitioners can tap into their inner strength, channel their intentions with fiery determination, and embark on a path to self-discovery and transformation. If you're looking to incorporate fire into your witchcraft, you would, so to embrace the fire element in witchcraft, there are various practices that witches can engage in to connect with its energy. Working with candle magic, where the flame becomes a focal point of intention setting and spell casting, is a popular way to incorporate fire. Lighting
My
candles.
favorite.
Yes. Lighting candles in colors associated with specific intentions or using flame symbols in rituals can amplify the power of fire. Engaging in bonfire ceremonies, fire scrying, or fire divination rituals can deepen the connection with fire's transformative energy. Utilizing fire-related tools such as a cauldron, an athame, or you would have thought the athame would be more of a wind tool, but athame is a fire one. How about that?
Okay. All right.
Or
if you're creating, you know what I'm saying? If you're creating and you're pointing your intentions at something with your athame, you know, makes sense.
yeah, I mean, it could be both actually. Now that I think about it,
Mm.
you know. Anyway, so a cauldron, an athame, or burning herbs can enhance rituals focused on purification or releasing negative energies. Additionally, practicing fire meditation, visualizing oneself engulfed in the warm glow of flames, can ignite inner strength and passion. Damn, that sounds awesome.
All right.
Become the flame.
Yeah, whenever you look at like a campfire or a bonfire, that just looks like energy itself just being expressed. Like it has its own energy almost.
It's so
You know what I'm saying?
mesmerizing.
It's just going.
Yeah. There's something to it that just draws you like a moth to a flame.
That's it, man. That's it.
Fire, with its mesmerizing flames and passionate energy, holds a prominent place within witchcraft. By embracing the essence of fire, witches can awaken their creative spark, fuel their desires, and embrace their personal power. Through practices such as candle magic, fire divination, or visualization techniques involving the imagery of flames, we can ignite the transformative energy of fire within our craft. So let us embrace the flame, dance with intensity, and allow the elemental power of fire to illuminate our path of passion, empowerment, and profound transformation. Something about fire,
Solid.
dude. Just, it just fires me up.
Yeah. dude.
So the correspondences of fire. It's not shocking to me that fire would be masculine.
Of course.
That
absolutely.
one makes sense.
Yeah.
The time would be noon. Obviously, it's the hottest time of the day, right? The season would be summer. Still not a shocker.
Nope.
The direction would be south. Not shocking there either. You know, it's always hotter down south. Towards the equator anyway. The planets would be the Sun and Mars. Let's see. The tarot card would be the suit of wands. Oh, I guess that does make sense if we were talking about the athame.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The colors are red, orange, and gold. The magical tools would be the athame, the wand, candles, cauldron, or burning herbs. All makes sense. The food and drink would be spicy foods, citrus fruits, herbal teas with stimulating properties. The fire animals would be a lion, a phoenix, a snake, a salamander, or a fox.
Okay.
I feel like fire is the easiest one to connect to.
Yeah.
It makes like the most amount of sense.
Oh, yeah.
The nature spirits would be the salamander and the fire elementals.
Okay.
All right. See, salamanders are a real thing, but the spiritual, there is a spiritual salamander as well that is like completely fireproof. And it's
All
like, it's actually regarded a lot in the tarot.
All right.
Yeah. And what was it? The fire elementals. Yeah. So the deities associated with the fire element would be Apollo, Brigid, Pele, Hestia, and Vulcan. A couple of those I never heard of before. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
So sweet. All right. So now we're going to get to the final one on this page, which would be the spirit or the ether.
All right.
Spirit is the ethereal essence that exists beyond the physical realm, encompassing the divine, the collective consciousness, and the interwoven tapestry of all existence. It is the universal life force that breathes energy into every being and every element. Spirit in witchcraft represents the connection to the divine, intuition, and spiritual growth, and the transcendent nature of our existence. By embracing the essence of spirit, witches can tap into the boundless wisdom of the universe, commune with higher beings, and embark on a transformative journey of spiritual awakening. Spiritual magic encompasses themes of intuition, divination, spiritual growth, and connection to higher beings. It allows witches to tap into their innate wisdom, connect with spirit guides and ancestors, and seek guidance from the divine. By working with spirits, practitioners can deepen their understanding of the unseen, explore their spiritual gifts, and experience profound transformations within their spiritual journeys. To embrace the essence of spirit in witchcraft, one can engage in practices that foster a deep connection to the spiritual realm. Meditation and mindfulness techniques allow witches to quiet their mind, cultivate awareness, and open themselves to receiving spiritual guidance. Creating sacred spaces, such as altars or ritual areas dedicated to connecting with spirit, can provide a focal point for spiritual practices. Engaging in divination methods such as tarot reading, scrying, or working with oracle cards can offer insights and messages from the divine realm. Communing with spirit guides, ancestors, or deity figures through prayer, meditation, or ritual invocations can deepen the connection to spirit. Additionally, engaging in rituals or ceremonies that honor and celebrate the divine can enhance spiritual connections and cultivate a sense of reverence and sacredness in one's craft. Spirit, the ethereal essence that binds us to the divine and connects us to the higher realms, holds a profound place within witchcraft. By embracing the essence of spirit, witches can tap into the limitless wisdom of the universe, commune with higher beings, and embark on a transformative journey of spiritual growth and alignment. Through practices such as meditation, divination, and connecting with spirit guides, we can cultivate a deep connection to spirit and invite its divine guidance and inspiration into our craft. So let's open our hearts, attune our spirits, and embrace the sacred dance with the ethereal realm of spirit within our magical endeavors.
This is the one that I believe, if you really think about it, man, it's the one thing that seems to bind all of us. It's the one thing that we all have an understanding of, or at least experience with. And what I was doing when you were reading that was I was replacing the word spirit with consciousness.
Yeah.
And it works. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one thing that we all have in common, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think that any of the other four elements would even exist if it wasn't for the spirit, personally.
Right. Yeah.
And because everything what they're finding, especially now within quantum physics, is that consciousness precedes everything physical. So without consciousness, physical world doesn't exist.
Right. Because
So
there would be no conscious being to experience it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even consciousness itself, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think they are fully aware of where the consciousness is within the human brain. If it's even in the brain, but I mean, I would imagine it is. But I don't think there's any one area, unless it's like your third eye, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Like, where is consciousness? You know?
well, and I wouldn't even say that it's just trapped into the brain. I think that it goes beyond that, and that's actually something that I've
That's
heard a
why it
lot
would
of
be
people
the
say.
unseen. You know?
Right. Yeah. I don't think that it's directly located, in the head, because first of all, it's not like if somebody says, "Oh, my consciousness is located in my left arm," and then you could just chop that arm off, they would still live. And it's like, all right, well, I guess your consciousness is gone. Your consciousness is still there. You can't chop off your head and expect to even live to prove that consciousness is still around, you know?
Right.
But
Yeah, for sure.
But as Sadhguru and many others have stated, especially whenever it's in regard to, the whole chakra system, like your consciousness exists in all of the different energy centers, essentially,
Right.
that you can put all of your thought and all of your focus into each individual one of the energy centers or the chakras or whatever you want to look at it.
Yep.
That every single one of them it's all connecting back up, and it feels like it's all operating in the brain, but, and I've heard people say this before, and I totally believe it. They say that your gut is actually your second brain, right? I believe it's actually your first, because if you really think about it, dude, try going up, especially whenever we podcast. We found out the hard way several times that the worst thing that you can possibly do is eat a huge meal before you get behind a microphone.
Right.
I mean, you are totally paralyzed.
I'm very, very aware of, like, when we are going to record that night, I'm like, okay, let me just eat something small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the last thing you want to be is bogged down and you're stumbling over your words, or you can't think of a word that you would like to say rather than another word that doesn't fully express what you're trying to say. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's real.
Right. And if you think about it, like, I don't know. I mean, I think a hell of a lot better on an empty stomach. Like,
Oh, yeah.
especially like in the morning, like up until you eat, your brain, once you got to get a cup of coffee and whatever your morning ritual is, right? But like my brain works 1,000 times better before I eat lunch every single time. And that's why I think that like fasting is so important, dude. And why I really want to start incorporating that, like at least one day a week of fasting. Like, I think that is like monumental.
It
Something
really
that we
is,
should be
dude.
doing.
But then
on a
you can
regular basis.
also say not to, and I didn't mean to cut you off, dude.
No, you're
but
good.
Not to play devil's advocate too hard here, but like if you're not eating, right, and you go a full day without eating, well, now you go into some sort of survival mode. You know what I mean? Your body requires food. It thinks it might not get another meal. And so maybe there's something going on within your brain that kicks into like an overdrive of some sort in order to and that's probably why you're able to smell food from
Good
much
point.
farther away. You go into this hyper survival mode. And so
Yep.
that's why your brain is going to be sharper, because it has to be, because there's no room for error here. You need
That
to eat. You
makes-
need to find your next meal.
That makes the
You
most
know?
sense. Yeah, I'm happy you
So-
brought that up. Yeah, it's interesting about how that works. And I think that, look, if your body doesn't have to work on just constantly breaking down whatever you ate for the day, then you are able to tap into your body's natural energy, because now it's not being expounded upon just breaking down whatever you ate. Now you can tap into that energy that isn't, working double time.
Yep.
That you can just tap into that main focus. And I think that that's why every single religious practice and spiritual practice, every single one of them, there is not a single spiritual practice that doesn't bring up fasting.
Yeah. And you know why they do that, right? You know what the reason is for fasting?
Oh, to
It's
get closer to God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
I
know?
mean, it makes the most amount of sense. And like you hear about certain people, dude, they'll go on a 40-day fast. You know,
That's crazy.
40 days. You wouldn't even think,
Yeah.
how can one even exist that way? Whenever literally in the Bible, they get lost in the desert for 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
And all they get to eat during that entire time is manna from God, which is, it's not too much, it's not too little, it's just right. It's like fucking porridge, right? It's not even real food that they're consuming. It's like food for thought is what it really is.
It's
And so-
ethereal food.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of like ethereal food in that sense.
Holy shit.
And if you think about it, like, what was it? Kevin James said he went on a 41 and a half day fast, which is
Right.
like, and he lost like over 100 pounds in 41 days.
And of course, if you're doing a 40-day fast, you're drinking like salt water. You're doing it the right way.
Or
Because
your
I would
electrolytes.
imagine just water, that's probably dangerous. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, the electrolytes are there to like help you with, you know, it helps with like mental clarity, and it's giving your body the bare minimum mineral and nutrients that it needs to just survive. You know, and you're just living off of that. And honestly, I'm really thinking about trying to see what limits I can push.
You're gonna go for it.
I mean, I got a couple LBs that I need to shed anyway. You know,
it might take you a couple tries, dude, but I think you can do it. If you really set your mind to it, dude, I think you could do it. But I really wanted to get back to that whole aspect of getting yourself closer to God, right? And people believe that. And we've even experienced, I mean, we did what, 2.5 days one time just to see if we could do it. And
which felt
what
like
it
an eternity.
like. It did, you know, but I would say that I felt lighter, and not just in a physically lighter, like maybe I lost weight. I think I'm sure I did, you know, in the 2.5 days of not eating, but just lighter in a different sense. And I also felt like that hyper focus. And I imagine if I was to have meditated for an hour, I definitely would have accessed some sort of genius, you know what I mean? Or higher self, or whatever that is, God, if you want to call it that, you know what I'm saying? And so that there's definitely something to that.
I'll tell you what, there's something really magical to fasting as well. Not to even stick on that, but like, as far as fasting goes, your body naturally knows to start healing itself whenever you're not eating. Which is a crazy thing that it just knows to do. And maybe it's because it doesn't have to focus on breaking down all the foods and, you know, distributing all the different nutrients to all the different parts of your body and your bloodstream and all that shit, right? But if you think about it, so for example, this past weekend, I was sick as a dog. I got whatever my son had, and he was puking and he had the runs, and oh man, I don't wish that upon anybody.
Yeah.
But I woke up in the middle of the night and I was going through the whole thing, and I thought it was something that I ate, right? I didn't even think that it was because of him for whatever reason. But of course, you know, with a baby, you're kissing him all the time, you're hugging him all the time. Like, it's impossible to not smooch a baby. You know,
Right.
it's just they got the squishiest little cheeks. You just need to get your lips on.
Oh yeah.
And so I went to Louisiana this past weekend, and I got super, super sick, and I thought it was the food. Well, that entire next day, you know, I went to sleep that night. That entire next day, I didn't eat at all. And amazingly, I started just feeling so much better. I wasn't even thinking about food. Honestly, like, the thought of food made me want to throw up again, you know?
Right.
And so I went the entire day without eating anything. And even today, I've only eaten once. And so, and I feel like my body is regenerating.
You needed that, you know, and I would even say, dude, that your body is constantly healing itself, you know, but when we eat like shit and we do what we do, it's almost like we're continuously breaking it down at the same time. And so you just feel like you're in that little rut of kind of feeling like shit. But once you do fast, now your body's able to heal on such an even higher level, you know, that you literally feel it. You feel better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So anyway, that's all about trying to get closer to God, get closer to spirit, whatever it is, right? But like, it is the unseeable known thing that almost everybody can agree upon. You know, whether you call it synchronicities, whether you call it just magical happenings, or that
spirit,
thing,
or
that whatever it is that you feel like you can get in touch with that you can't see. We've all experienced it in one form or fashion, whether you want to call it dreams or tarot, literally anything. However you feel like you get there,
Mhm.
We've all felt it in one form
Yep.
or fashion.
Yep.
And so, yeah, why not try and tap into it? And so if you're trying to look for the correspondences of spirit, the gender is actually neutral or transcendent. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yep.
The time it's beyond time. It's eternal. Makes
Mhm.
sense, right? The seasons would be all seasons. The direction would be either the center or beyond directions
Yep.
because it's everywhere. What else? The zodiac would be all signs or none. The tarot cards, actually, interestingly enough, it would be the entire major arcana, particularly the Fool, which represents the journey of the soul.
Interesting.
Wow. That's
It's
cool.
funny because I was going to guess that because it seemed like the one that it shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like I just went for that, but dude, that's really fucking fascinating, actually.
Yeah. I
Holy
mean, if you
shit.
really think about it, everybody's the Fool. Everybody has a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody always ends up at their final destination. You know, some people get their lives cut short for whatever reason, you know.
Yep.
But everybody has a start.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would make sense that it would be the Fool because it's the start of the journey.
Yep. Just like that one song, dude. Everybody plays the fool, dude.
Yes.
Sometimes. Oh yeah.
Yes,
dude.
exactly.
They were on one. They knew what
They
was
know.
up.
They know what was up, dude.
Yeah.
So the magical tools would be meditation tools, prayer beads, ritual symbols representing the divine. The food and drink would be symbolic offerings, sacred water or elixirs, and spiritual teas. Makes sense. If you really think about it, every time somebody's giving an offering, whether you say it's for this deity or that deity, what if you're just offering it up to spirit, bro? You
Yeah.
know, like that's really what's going on.
Yep. I think so. That's
Makes
what I
sense.
would lean towards. But that's just me. you
No,
know?
I
That's
agree.
how I like to see it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, color it however you want.
Mhm.
The spirit animal of the spirit would be winged creatures such as birds, butterflies, or dragonflies.
Mm.
Interesting.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
similar to the air in that sense,
Mhm.
which it would make sense that air and ether and spirit would all be kind of closely connected.
Yep.
The nature spirits would be angels, archangels, ascended masters, and spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
Checks out.
Yep.
The deities associated with spirit would be God, goddess, source, all that is, the divine in various forms and cultures.
Okay.
I
Throw in
love-
genius.
Throw in
Throw
the
genius
genius,
in there.
throw in the
Just throw
demon, you know?
Yeah.
The plants with spirit magical properties would be sacred plants used for spiritual purposes in various traditions, such as sacred herbs, flowers, and trees. I like it.
Interesting.
All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we got on that website, which I thought was pretty damn interesting. It's a good place to start. So,
yeah.
now we're going to get crazy deep. Okay? We are going to bridge it all together even deeper.
Mm.
It's just going to get awesome.
Mm.
So we're going to get it. First, we're going to start with the elemental map. So for the Greeks, the universe was made of 4 basic elements. The ether was the 5th. In India, the same pattern appears. Agni as fire, Apas was water, Vayu was air, and Prithvi was earth, and Akasha would be ether.
Makes sense.
How about
Right?
that? Native traditions around the world carried similar models, from the 4 winds to the sacred directions. Modern science shows us that matter and energy are more complex than 4 categories, but what the ancients were really describing were processes, archetypes, and forces. Fire as transformation, water as continuity, air as breath, and earth as structure, and ether as connection. So the elemental map is not a literal chemistry set. It's a way of seeing the patterns behind reality, a bridge between inner worlds and outer worlds.
Dude, that's my
So,
jam.
It's my jam, dude. yeah. We just need a little peanut butter to mix with that.
That's it. Just a little bit.
So, firstly, to tap in a little bit more, I'm going to tell you, dude, this is going to get so deep. It's awesome.
All right.
Whenever I first was doing this research, I was like, oh my God, how have we not known this? But I feel like that with every episode, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So the science would have you looking at it like this: fire is combustion, electrons that are falling and releasing photons as light and heat. When the flame ends, the energy doesn't vanish, heat diffuses, light races outward forever, and fire is energy moving form to form. So first of all, the flame isn't a thing, it's a process. So when you light a match, it seems like a flame appears out of nowhere. But what's really happening is a chemical reaction. The fuel, whether it be wax or wood, combines with oxygen, releasing stored chemical energy as heat and light. The flame is not a substance that comes into being, it's the visible process of energy transfer. So once the fuel is gone, the process ends, so it looks like the flame has been destroyed, but the energy has simply changed form.
Mm-hmm. As probably heat going outward. You know, that's really cool how it said the light goes on forever. You know what I mean? Like throughout the universe. Like if you could zoom in on where that match was lit from 200,000 light years away, 200,000 light years from now, somebody could see the light from that match being lit.
Yeah.
If you believe in space. I know that you're like on the fence with it, but
I mean, we've just been lied to a lot about space. It's not that I don't believe in it. It's just that they feed us a lot of shit, you know? But that being said, yeah, it is pretty interesting. And something that's actually a little bit more interesting too is that if you were to take your telescope, and let's say you could take a telescope that was like super, super, super zoom in, right? And you can zoom in on, I don't know, a planet that is 1,000 light years away, right? The imagery that you'd be seeing through your telescope is not of what is happening right now. You would be seeing imagery of what happened, the distance of however that light took to get to your eye.
You're staring into the past.
Yes.
Basically.
Which is awesome.
And one thing that I've thought about, and I never hear anybody say it because maybe it's the stupidest thing anybody's ever said, but if you're looking at a planet 100,000 years ago, the planet that you're seeing isn't even right there anymore. Wouldn't it not be in a different place in the sky at the time that you were actually looking that direction?
Dude.
You're looking into the past.
Exactly.
That's a trip.
Yeah, it's a fucking time machine.
Yeah, dude. Light transcends time, dude.
Which, I'm not going to lie, the main reason why I wanted to, whenever I first started looking into this was because I was trying to think, because I know that, you know, look, we're no different than what nature is, right? And I feel like there's never a lie in nature. That's something that I learned from Crow 777, shout out. But he goes, look, if you're ever trying to find an answer, it's always, almost every single time, found in nature in one facet or form. And if we can figure out what are the substances and the materials and the realities and the chemical reactions and everything involving what each one of these elements are made of, maybe it will point toward, where are we going after death? Where were we before we came here, right? Because, and what I mean by we, I mean by the physical body. Maybe we can attach the spirit to that as well, because we are getting to the ether and the spirit as well. But I like to believe that, yes, you have flame and you know, earth and fire and water and all these things, right? But like, each one of them has a spirit attached to them. Right? So it's not that the flame is just a flame that doesn't have any spirit. It's that there is also a spirit to the flame. And this is something that, like, within alchemy, they know this, right? Every single thing has a spirit attached to it. And this is like, if you look into, we've talked a little bit about animism before, right? Like how every single thing that you see has some kind of spirit. Might be a lower spirit, might be a higher spirit. It is it has some kind of consciousness attached to it.
Yep.
Whether it be lower or higher doesn't matter, but there is something there. If you can see it, it has some form of consciousness.
Right.
If we are to look at the natural elements as if we are made up of all of them, which we kind of are, if you really think about it. Like, that's what we're made up of, the elements. There's like every single element that is out there, we have to be made of it. And so if we can get to know what each one of the individual elements are made of and understand its processes and understand its true nature, then maybe we can start to understand our true nature as a background to it. Right. And so whenever you see how the fire goes, about how once the
energy being
fuel
dispersed.
once the fuel is gone and the process ends, it looks like it has been destroyed, but that's not true. It's just that the energy has changed form. That was the key words there.
Yep.
The flame has been dispersed, but the energy that was creating that flame in the first place is still there. You just can't see it.
Right. The expression of the flame is done. Right.
Yes.
Right.
So to dive into this a little bit more, so the energy transformations in fire. So it has a stored energy. So the wood or wax holds the chemical potential energy from sunlight captured by plants long ago. The release is that whenever it burns, this potential is converted into heat, light, and new chemical compounds such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, and ash. And then the dissipation of it. So the heat radiates into the air, the light disperses into space, and gases become part of the atmosphere. So nothing disappears. It just transforms into less visible states. The flame you see in the middle act of this transformation. So, dude, if that is not a perfect representation of maybe what even the spirit does.
Yep. I'm with you.
Pretty
man.
interesting.
I love it.
So why it looks okay. So why it looks like it was created and destroyed, but it never actually was, right? So to our eyes, the flame looks like a discrete thing that that exists, it flickers, and then it dies. But it's much more like a wave on the ocean. You see a shape rise up, a crest, and a vanish, but the water itself never disappeared. The flame is a pattern of energy transfer, not a permanent object. So whenever you look at it like it is, just a wave in that sense, it actually brings it a little bit more into context.
Yeah, it's just the expression of the ocean, and the ocean is consciousness or spirit.
Yeah, it's not like that wave just like dipped out of the ocean whenever it, dissipated.
No, it's still there. Everything that was the wave is still all there.
Exactly. So this ties back into the water and soul idea. So the flame is like a human life. It appears when conditions are right with fuel, oxygen, and the spark. It dances uniquely while it lasts, and then it goes out, but its energy disperses into the environment. So the flame's heat becomes part of the air. Its light races off into the universe forever. Its ash becomes earth again. In the same way, consciousness or spirit might not end. It just disperses or transforms into other states that we don't always perceive.
Damn.
Beautiful.
Love it.
So, so the flame as the spirit now. Okay. So a flame doesn't vanish when it goes out. The light it gave off still travels through the cosmos. The heat warms the air, and the smoke and ash return to the earth. The flame's form disappears, but its essence, the energy it released, keeps rippling outward. Likewise, when a person dies, the physical body is the fuel that stops burning. But the spirit, like the flame, isn't destroyed. It shifts into new states that we can't always perceive. The subtle energy fields, the vibrations, or what the mystics call the astral or the etheric body. Checks out to me. So just as most water keeps circulating through Earth's oceans and skies, most spirits may remain within the cycle of reincarnation. They change forms, moving from one body to another, carrying traces of memory and essence, like the embers carried on the wind. So our flame personally, dims in one place but ignites in another. Nothing truly ever vanishes. It just takes new shape. And just like oh God, this is going to get so deep, dude. All right. So, I don't even want to read that one yet because we're going to go back to that in a second.
All right.
So, all right. The flame produces light. So when something burns, Atoms in the fuel are excited by the heat. Electrons jump up to higher energy levels, then fall back down, releasing energy as photons or particles of light. That's what you see as the glow of the flame, right?
Yep.
So then let's get into this. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second.
That's all.
Per second.
Okay. All right.
That is crazy.
It's moving.
So once a photon,
Moving.
it's humming. So once a photon is released, it doesn't hang around the flame. It travels outward at the speed of light in all directions. So every flicker of a flame is constantly sending out photons racing away into the surrounding space forever.
Forever.
That's
It makes
crazy.
no fucking sense. That one dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never think about that again.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude. Every
that's,
time, think about every time you've ever like lit a lighter or a match or you had a
that light
bonfire,
is
or
still traveling right now.
it's still going
Wow.
because
Well,
the
how fast was it again?
186,000 miles per second.
Good God. dude. Wow.
That's pretty. That's the speed of light. Literally, is what it is. you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So the chemical reactions stop once the flame goes out, right? So no more photons are being produced, but all the light that was emitted continues traveling outward forever unless it's absorbed by matter. So some of the light will get absorbed by walls or air or even your eyes, but much of it streams into the night sky, joining the endless ocean of starlight.
Hmm.
How about your eyes absorb it?
Yeah, I guess so. Right? I don't know. Where does it go?
It's just crazy that it's a thing that goes somewhere in the first place.
Of course.
you
Of
know?
course. It travels as information now. You know what I mean? It goes into your eye and your brain processes it as an image of something, you know.
So this means that every flame, a candle, a campfire, even your lighter, literally sends its light into the universe. If you lit a candle in the desert tonight, its photons would eventually travel billions of miles, some continuing until the end of time.
Hitting another Earth-like planet, giving it energy for another plant to produce more fruit or whatever. You know?
Inevitably.
Yeah,
Dude. So the flame's light is like our actions, our words, and spirit, radiating outward. It's touching others and continuing long after our quote-unquote flame has gone out. Just as the photons from a single candle may one day reach another star system, the spirit's quote-unquote light may ripple into dimensions far beyond our comprehension.
Oh, is that all, dude?
Fuck. God, I love learning about this stuff. It's so much fun. So, yes, when a flame goes out, the photons that it already emitted don't vanish. They keep traveling through space, carrying the memory of the flame outward into the cosmos. The ancient mystics must have known this. This must be why they worked so well with the elements. So, why they worked with the elements. All right, so now we're going to start to get into a little bit deeper. So why the mystics would have worked with the elements. So fire wasn't just warmth, it was transformation. It stood for the soul spark, the living light that continues after death. Mystics saw the flames dance knew that it symbolized spirit itself.
Being eternal, then.
That makes so much damn sense. And water wasn't just to drink. It was the eternal cycle of rebirth, renewal, and the soul flowing from one form to another without end. Whew. All right.
But so real quick, our consciousness or our spirit is in the realm of the unseen. So it doesn't necessarily, if we are being scientific about it, I don't think it necessarily puts out any kind of a photon. You know what I'm saying? And so what are we saying as far as the consciousness that is us being eternal? You know, because I can understand our physical body having kinetic energy, basically just stored energy that the bugs and everything else, the earth will reconsume and process that energy as food, and then they will go and make babies, and then, you know what I mean, that energy will keep going and forever, you know. But as far as the consciousness that is me, if there is a me, if everything is all one, this is something I've been thinking about today.
Mhm.
Just so it's really fascinating that this comes up. But if we are all one, then we get into the conversation of trying to figure out who the true me is, then you know what I'm saying? Like how what is a true me if we're all the same thing? You know?
We're just different aspects of that same thing. I almost like to look at it like this. So my computer has, I think, 1 gigabyte of solid state memory, right? Which is just like, it's not like saving it to the cloud. It's just to the machine itself, right? That's your solid state. So it has 1 gigabyte. Let's just say that that's what it is. I actually don't even know. But let's just say that it has 1 gigabyte. And over the course of years, I'm going to download and delete so many fucking things. But for a period of time, you know, if I save this episode, for example, it will be saved on my computer for a short period of time until it's uploaded to everywhere it gets uploaded to. But for that period of time, it is uploaded to the solid state of memory that I have on my computer. Therefore, my computer could almost be represented as this episode, right?
Okay.
And after a while, I'm going to let it go. Now, whenever I delete it off my computer, it is still existing on the internet forever, right?
Right.
It just allows my computer to almost change form to allow us to do more episodes.
Right.
You see what I'm
I see what you're
saying?
Yeah.
In that sense,
Well, and this is the thing that I was like kind of pondering, you know, as far as like consciousness is concerned. You know, I would like to think, and I think everybody would like to think, that there is some sort of eternalness to this whole thing. Like I will keep going, and I will eventually be something else, or I will continue to experience, right? And I think that would be just the most preferable thing, because us as humans, we can't fathom not existing, because now we exist, you know. And so, is it just consciousness itself that continues? You know what I'm saying? Since we are all of that, you know, that doesn't mean that me personally, that I'm actually going to experience that. You know what I'm saying? It's just consciousness itself, the thing that underlies everybody, the thing that gives us all awareness and the ability to even examine it and even talk about it. You know, that's the thing that continues. But I might not necessarily experience it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you will, though. Like, shed off everything that you are. And this is something that, like, you think about, like, what are they called? The monks, right? Like, their entire goal of why they literally dedicate their entire lives to meditation is to live life without attachments, because the attachments almost pull you away from what you actually are, right? So there is a center of what you actually are, and every single one of your attachments it's not like pulling you away from what you actually are in a bad way. It's just showing you another aspect of this reality. But if you didn't have any,
that's not you, basically.
Yeah, but whenever you think about what you are, they're simply just things that you like doing, or it's things that you have to do, right? So like, if you didn't have any attachments, you wouldn't have a wife, you wouldn't have any kids, you wouldn't have a job, you wouldn't have anything that you'd be really interested in. And what you would be left with, if you didn't have all those things, you would just be left with all that is left, which is, call it God, call it source, call it consciousness. It's that underlying thing that you don't need all of those things to survive. You can survive without a wife. You can survive without kids. You can survive without interests. You know what I mean? You can survive without fucking 60,000 thoughts in a day. You as a human body can survive without all of that. Right. So all of those things are seen as attachments in that sense. And so, but without those attachments, you just are the I am.
Right.
And so you still exist because that's actually what you are at your core. You see what I'm saying?
Right. No, I got you.
It's just I mean, I know you know this. I guess I'm kind of just working through it in my own mind.
No, for sure. For sure.
And so that's kind of because I think about this shit all the time, dude. And I'm trying to like
Right.
really break it down in my own sense. And
No, for sure. I was just thinking about it like recently, and I don't remember thinking about my own mortality since like the beginning stages of COVID. Like that's the first time I feel like I really started to contemplate the finiteness of myself. Like I'm not going to be here forever. Like I'm not going to get to experience all of these things forever. There's going to be a time where I will have to just become, I don't know, I guess unaware of everything, and I think that that's the most scary part of even thinking about that, is because I feel like that would be scary to feel like, oh, I'm not going to be aware of anything anymore. Like I'm just not going to exist anymore. And I don't know. I just
Maybe
been
it's
thinking
not-
about that a little bit lately.
maybe it's not so much that you're not going to be aware of anything anymore. Maybe it's that you're going to be so aware that your identification and understanding of awareness as it is so minute compared to the all-encompassing that
Right.
is awareness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, that's why I prefaced. What's the word I'm looking for? Prefaced that with being a human, the way that I think about existing now as opposed to what is to come later. You know what I mean? What will we experience? And if I am purely just the I am, then I am at that point consciousness itself. You know what I mean? And so
At that
I don't
point,
know,
it wouldn't.
it's hard to fathom.
I would
is all.
imagine that a monk goes through the death process with a lot of ease.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know
like
what I'm saying?
willingly, like here we go, and
Finally,
just
it's my
fucking
time.
zooms off, whatever that's like.
Dude, it's another fucking Tuesday, I would think, for a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not
Right.
really, it's another day of being aware of everything.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny because we go into so much of this stuff, as far as like the near death experiences, and I was pretty sure I got myself to the point of like I'm not afraid of death. You know what I mean? But I
No.
think no matter what, when that time comes, dude, we're all going to be like a little bit fucking scared out of our minds.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
It takes
That's
us,
just something I've been thinking about recently.
well, I
Because I
think,
feel like it's something that obviously everybody experiences.
I think we're always worried about, like, what if I'm wrong?
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we can sit here and like be so sure that, yeah, there's nothing to worry about with death. And, we have numerous examples as to why we shouldn't be worried about death, whether it is our own experiences or hearing about other people's experiences or looking into the science or looking into, whatever it is, right?
mhm.
There's always that part of you that's like, man, what if I just don't know enough to be that comfortable with absolutely thinking that I know it all?
And I would say that that's the way we should be thinking, because there's no way we can even fathom. I think, when we talk about the people that have the near death experiences, those are people that go to a place and come back. We never hear from the people that don't make it back, so like that's the actual, they made it to the quote unquote finish line, and so who knows what they experienced,
Well,
and just never get to tell the story.
And just like this was saying, specifically about the fire itself, is that, that will keep going unless it is absorbed by matter. And what are we if not light that has been absorbed by matter?
Mm-hmm.
If you really
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's deep,
It
that
is
was
deep.
some deep shit.
Yeah.
Because I think if nothing else, I know consciousness connects us all, but that's another thing, is the inevitable death.
Oh, it
you
is
know?
inevitable.
And it's one of the most natural things, being born and dying.
And
We all get to experience that.
and how everybody isn't fucking losing their shit about that
I know.
is just crazy.
And they're buying it.
They're not buying it. They're just pretending like
No,
it don't
they
exist.
just pretend like they know what's going on. I'm not going to sit here and say I know, because I don't think it's anything we can even imagine. As far as we know, dude, it's just like all the years before we were born, because we don't know anything about that. Like, we didn't experience that either, because there was nothing for us to experience. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's,
I'm crazy.
I mean, you're
saying.
definitely crazy, but I think that's a good thing, you know?
All right.
So yeah.
Just so
all
we're
right.
on the same page.
Oh, we
Right.
definitely are. Like,
Moving on.
and don't
Okay.
let me like act like I know it all, because I really don't. It's just that I obsess about this. Like,
Mhm.
it is literally all I think about is our own mortality, what it means to be alive, where the fuck did we come from, where are we going, what are the things that we can do in this lifetime to make it more awesome. You know what I mean? And if we can find out what we're able to do, maybe we would be a lot less worried about life after death, because we would know that we can transcend this physical reality through all these different kind of magical things.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, I think that we owe it to ourselves to not be sitting here in fear of that inevitable event.
Right.
In
Because
our
I mean,
experience,
ultimately,
so-
fear is just a vibration anyway, and it's, if you think about it, and all the different emotions are all just on the same pole. And so you can strike that chord of fear, and it's still connected to the fear of happiness and, genuine and whatever, right? Like all the good ones. It's all attached to the same chord. It's just a lower fucking striking of that chord. But you can strike that thing a little bit higher, and you're going to feel a lot better. It's just different ways of being able to look at it. So whenever you die and you're in that fearful state, you can choose to experience that, but you can also choose to experience it in a like awesome way. And I think that is just the beauty of polarity in general.
Exactly. And I think that's the whole point of us being here anyways. You know what I mean? If for nothing else, that's what this world is.
It's the
duality.
experience.
And so it's the experience. And so why waste your time or put yourself in that lower vibration when that's not the point, man. But that's why I think it's important we look into all of these things and cover all of the different ways of thinking, different lenses to look through, because ultimately that's what you got your lens that you look through, and you shape everything around how you're looking at everything. And so yeah,
that's it, dude. Yeah, it's the beauty of it. And it's so mysterious.
Yep.
Which is why they call it the mysteries,
that's it, dude. That's it.
But sometimes you need the mystics to understand the mysteries.
That's it. We're trying, man. We're trying.
We're working our way there. So we talked about fire and water. Now, as far as air, why they would have worked with the elements. Air represented the breath of life, the invisible but essential current that links all beings. Inhaling and exhaling mirrored the cosmic pulse.
Oh.
Interesting. And then earth was stability, the vessel, the body that holds the spirit. It also returns everything to itself. Dude, whenever I said in that, it's a couple episodes ago, that whenever you die, you just go back to yourself.
Yep.
You go
That's
back
home,
to
right?
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that whenever, you worry about like, well, what about me? Where am I going? And, like, am I just going to go back and be absorbed by the universal consciousness? Yes, but it's not like a distant stranger. Like it is you. You know what I'm saying? It's
right. And the means in which you have to experience it are way unlike what you have to experience this. And so the whole idea of what it could be, or your five senses, all of that is multiplied by a billion, I'm sure. And so any fears or any of the mystery or just the unknown of it all, it probably doesn't even exist,
yeah
at that point.
So returning, it also returns everything to itself. Talking about the earth, it reminds us of cycles and grounding. The earth does. So elemental magic as a hidden science. So mystics, alchemists, and shamans worked with the elements because they recognized them as more than physical substances. They were archetypes of consciousness, mirrors of the soul's journey. So fire showed them that energy never dies. Water showed them the continuity of form through change. Air showed them the invisible currents of spirit, and earth showed them the eternal vessel of manifestation. Dude.
Love it.
Meaning you're always going to have some kind of form.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So when they invoked the elements in ritual or magic, they were aligning their own consciousnesses with these eternal truths. So even if they didn't describe photons or molecules, they felt that fire's light traveled into the unseen, that water returned in new forms, that breath connected them to the cosmos. The elements were doorways. They weren't just tools for survival, they were sacred teachers. So the ancient mystics worked so well with the elements because they understood that the elements were living metaphors for spirit, energy, and the eternal cycle of consciousness.
Wow.
Fucking mic drop on that one,
fucking
dude.
awesome, dude. That's the show.
Yeah, we're done. That's it.
Wow.
No, there's still a little bit more, actually.
Okay, my
So-
bad. That's on me.
Shame on
That's
you,
me.
sir.
Yeah.
So within mysticism, fire has always been transformation. The ancients saw that nothing fed to the flame is truly destroyed. It is changed, carried into new forms. That's why fire was sacred, why it was the symbol of will, sacrifice, and purification. And within magic, a candle flame is more than ambience, should I say. It's a tool. You can whisper fears into it and see them transmuted into light. You can also focus will into it and know that it will ripple into the unseen. Fire shows us magic in real time.
I believe it.
Dude,
I've experienced it.
yeah, that candle
You
magic
know what
really
I mean?
sets it up, dude. So as far as water goes, now we're going to get into the craziness of water. All right.
Okay.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. This is really where it started because I was really trying to understand, just the whole symbolism of water in general. As I was talking about with the holy water and the baptism and, we
it's
come
everywhere.
from water and, I wanted to understand a little bit more. So, dude, this is about to trip you the fuck out. So,
Okay.
the water cycle keeps Earth's water recycling. So for billions of years, Earth has been cycling water through oceans, atmospheres, rivers, glaciers, and underground reservoirs. Most of this water is the same water that has always been here. The glass of water that you drink today may contain molecules once swallowed by a dinosaur. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? But the total amount has changed over time. So while the water cycle itself recycles what's already here, the total amount of water on Earth has not been fixed perfectly since the formation of Earth. So this is where it gets kind of strange. So some of the water has been lost to space.
Oh.
So
Okay.
some water, especially in the early Earth, was broken apart by solar radiation. The hydrogen atoms, being very light, escaped into space, and Mars likely lost most of its water this way, and Earth has lost some, but not all. So, and then conversely, water gained. There has been some water that has been gained from space. So comets, asteroids, and icy bodies delivered additional water, especially during the late heavy bombardment period about 4 billion years ago. This likely contributed a significant portion of Earth's current oceans
Interesting,
from 4 billion years ago.
dude. And it's been recycled ever since.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that actually. That water, like you can drink some water, and then eventually someone down the line will be drinking that same water. It's a trip.
Yeah, I mean, you probably had the same glass of water as Abe Lincoln,
Oh shit.
I mean, at least by somebody in his family.
Right. At least a few molecules. Anyway.
So the net balance. All right. So today, Earth still loses a bit of hydrogen and water to space every year, but compared to the vast volume of Earth's oceans, it's almost a negligible amount. Similarly, impacts from water-rich asteroids or comets are now extremely rare, so we're not gaining much new water either. So the total amount of water has fluctuated across deep time. We've gained some from space and lost some to space, but for the last few billion years, it's been relatively stable.
All right.
So
Good to know.
yeah. So, and I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
All right. So there's also a hidden reservoir, water stored in minerals deep within Earth's mantle. Some scientists believe that there could be as much or more water locked away inside the Earth as in all the surface oceans combined underneath
Believe
the
it.
ground.
I believe it.
This is where you get like water witching and, with the, that kind of stuff. So, This water can cycle up through volcanic activity and subduction, so it adds another layer of mystery to the total water question. Water shifts phases endlessly, whether it be liquid, vapor, or ice, but it remains H2O. It cycles through oceans, clouds, rivers, and bodies. It never dies, only transforms. Its hydrogen bonds make it the most mystical molecule in science. So if you think about water, it's the most mystical of all of the elements. It never really dies. It only transforms. Ice becomes liquid. Liquid becomes vapor. Vapor becomes the cloud. The cloud becomes rain. Yet it's always still water. The essence never disappears, just the form of it. So now put that side by side with the soul or the spirit. Our physical bodies are just like one state of being. But when they melt, in quotes, death, the essence, the consciousness, the spirit doesn't vanish. It transitions into another form. Just like vapor is invisible but still water, the spirit might continue beyond the physical, unseen yet present. Mystics, alchemists, and even Taoist philosophers often used water as a metaphor for the soul. So the Tao calls water the perfect image of the Tao because it is adaptable, flowing, yet eternal. Alchemy treated water as the prima materia, the fundamental essence that transforms but never ceases. And even in Christianity, baptism symbolizes transformation through water, death of the old self, rebirth into spirit. So your intuition maps onto a deep symbolic truth. Water's cycle mirrors the soul's journey. The human quote-unquote form is like ice, solid, temporary, fragile. Death is the melting. Spirit is the vapor that rises into the new realms, and eventually it condenses again. Perhaps reincarnation, perhaps manifestation into another world. In this way, water is almost the panpsychist proof of immortality. By the way, we're going to do a whole episode on panpsychism. It was something that we've been planning for a little while.
Yep.
Panpsychism is the idea of, so we talk about pantheism, right? That that we are all essentially just one giant being. Panpsychism takes it a step farther and says that actually we're all just one mind.
Right.
That there's nothing even beyond that.
And all is mine, dude. Yeah.
Yes, which actually makes a little bit more sense. So in this way, water is almost the panpsychist proof of immortality. If nature itself preserves essence through endless transformation, why wouldn't consciousness, the deepest essence of all, follow the same law? So, all right. So when the earth, all right. So then I was like, all right, this all makes sense, except for what about that water that escapes Earth? I want to know the symbolism of that, just to get real weird, right?
All right.
So when Earth loses water into space, it's water that never comes back into the cycle of the ocean, the clouds, or the rain. It drifts into the void, perhaps forever. In human terms, this could be compared to a spirit that doesn't return to the earthly cycles of reincarnation. Instead of condensing back into matter, like rebirth, it journeys outward into the greater cosmos. Some traditions might call this ascension. The soul no longer tied to the wheel of life and death, or in Buddhism, samsara, right?
Yep.
Escaping the cycle of samsara.
The karmic wheel, right?
Also in Buddhism, it's also known as nirvana. So nirvana is just escaping the cycle of samsara, and now you're just existing blissfully, right?
Right.
Shout out to Kurt Cobain, but RIP to a real one. So in Hermeticism, it's returning to the stars. In Christianity, it's the soul leaving this world to dwell in heaven. The water molecule drifting into space could be a metaphor for the spirit achieving liberation beyond the cycle.
Whoa.
I knew that there had to be something to that, you know, because I was like, if nature teaches us everything, then what is that trying to teach us?
Yep. Exactly.
So, liberation beyond the cycle. That would be,
Interesting.
the story of the water that escapes Earth in that sense. And it would make sense that most of the water stays, or is at least, reincarnated in another form. Like, right? Because I feel like, honestly, dude, I feel like the only way to escape the cycle is to become aware of the cycle at first. You know what I'm saying? And if you
Right, no,
don't
yeah.
know that there's a fucking cycle to all this, then you might
Right.
just be like kind of, talk back into coming back again.
Right, exactly. Well, it reminds me of what Danny Goller was saying, and I think you mentioned it too. I think you were saying that Crow 777 said that nature doesn't lie, but Danny Goller says that nature keeps no secrets. And so if that's the case, and you figure out what nature is doing, then you can maybe understand that on a deeper level as far as what consciousness, the spirit, where we go after this.
I think so.
If we are part of that, then why would we not follow suit?
It's not
With-
even if we are part of that. Like, I think
No,
we
we
would,
definitely are. What
Right.
I'm saying, if that is, that is so, and so then why wouldn't the nature of us follow that?
why wouldn't we follow
know?
suit? Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was trying to get at with all this shit. You know?
Yeah.
So anyhow, moving on. Okay. So the lost hydrogen, so the water that escapes into space, would be equivalent to the spirit's essence becoming one with the source. So when sunlight breaks water into hydrogen and oxygen, and hydrogen escapes, it's like the most subtle essence slipping away into the cosmic field. That hydrogen might fuse into in a distant star billions of years later, becoming part of new light. That spirit merging back into source, no longer individuated, but fully dissolved into the great fire of existence.
That's that eternal bliss.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, nirvana. So the water remaining would be the spirit reincarnating. So meanwhile, most water stays here, endlessly cycling. That's like most souls returning to Earth again and again in different forms. The spirit remains, but its shape changes. A wave now, a raindrop next, a cloud later. Always the same essence, always moving through transformations. And I don't want to even say that, like, I mean, obviously we're here, so like. We didn't figure it out last time. I don't even want to say that because maybe we made the decision to just come back even though we had the opportunity, right? Because let's just be honest, like we look at life as if it is such a drag and, oh, why do I got to keep on fucking doing it? You know? But also I would imagine that from that perspective of having the opportunity to come back or to move on, you probably like look back at reality and say, you know what? It was probably, I don't think it was as bad as we thought it was, you know? And so maybe you want to just hop back on that fucking bike and see if you can figure it out a little bit more the next time, because it's just one giant mystery and nobody can just say, there it is, figured it out, cracked the code. Nobody, like, I'm the only one that's ever done it. Like, it's always going to be mysterious. And I think that's that way on purpose. And so, like,
I'm okay with it.
If it wasn't mysterious, maybe we wouldn't keep on coming back.
Right. Well, I think, and this is just kind of what I'm thinking about right on the spot as far as, coming back in a different form. If consciousness is this thing that we all experience, we all have, it's within us and probably without, outside of us. But if we come back in a different form, that means obviously we don't come back as ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're consciousness is the thing that observes, right? And so that's something that I have, and I'm observing. I have that consciousness, but I'm right now in the expression or the body of Sean, right? And so us coming back doesn't necessarily mean the essence that was Sean, but the consciousness that observes through him. You know what I'm saying? And so that is the reincarnation, the ability, not the ability, but the happening of consciousness being somewhat eternal in that sense, because it's just always been.
Well, and people have, I believe that people have been trying to explain this through parables all across time, through parables, through symbols, whatever, right? And just trying to explain it in a way that is almost unexplainable. And that's why it has to be expressed through symbols and why it has to be expressed through parables. And honestly, this is what I've been coming around to think lately, dude. Like, so, and even just Jesus, I look a lot into Jesus and the Bible and all that stuff, mainly because I work with Jacob and we talk about it just every single episode. And so it causes the wheels to turn, right?
Yeah.
And so if we are to believe that the way that we look at Jesus, like in the Gnostic kind of sense, right? Then in every single time he spoke, he always spoke in parable. He never meant anything literal. It was always, there's fucking levels to everything that he said, right? Then I would have to imagine, what would be the parable for saying, he always references God as the Father and that he is the Son, right? Wouldn't that kind of be like the Father being your higher self and the Son being your human understanding?
Right. Your human body versus your human or your consciousness.
So whenever
observing through you.
So yeah, whenever you whenever you die and you go back to the Father, it's kind of like you're going back to the one consciousness. You're going back to the one source. It's the one thing that it's not distant from you. It's always connected to you. It is you. It's just that you have, further emanations of yourself, as if it is, what have we talked about? Platonism, right?
Yeah, Platonism.
Like,
right.
Almost look at like your highest self would be the source, and everything else is just further emanations of the light in more denser, more physical terms. So the more denser physical version of you would be the Son, would be Jesus, right?
The human
And
body,
and the source light emanation where everything comes from would be God or the Father, right? So if every single if consciousness precedes all that is physical, then wouldn't that be the Father or God?
No, that's great. And you know what's fun? Well, not funny, but what's interesting about what you just said, as far as, because I think, Jesus was 100% man and 100% God, right? So was he not 100% human being and 100% consciousness or whatever that is?
And you can do all these things and more.
Holy fuck, dude.
Dude.
I love it.
That's it.
That's great.
That's fucking it.
I think we figured something out, dude.
I think so. I mean,
so.
Do we just become best friends? Yup.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that there's something to that. Just looking at trying to understand the deeper message of everything. If everything's parabolic.
I'm with that, dude. That's pretty fucking solid. I've never looked at it like that, but it just makes sense.
Right. I think so. So, all right, let's get into this a little bit farther because we still got a good bit to get to. So if water escaping Earth is like the soul leaving the cycle, it suggests two truths coexisting. Number one would be most of the essence remains in the cycle, reincarnating, learning, and experiencing. And number two, some of the essence moves beyond, dissolving into the greater cosmos, never to return in the same way. That paints a beautiful cosmology. So not all spirits are bound to rebirth. Some eventually escape Earth's quote-unquote gravity of incarnation and return to the stars like the water drifting into the universe. So if you're going to look at it in a mystic kind of way, water is rebirth, immortality, and the soul's flow. Baptism, holy rivers, sacred wells, they all carried the truth that water is eternal. The ancients watched rainfall, rivers flood, and ice melt and saw it in the mirror of the spirit's journey. So a bowl of water becomes a mirror for scrying. Flowing water carries away what you release. Drinking blessed water imbibes intention. Water teaches us to flow, to cleanse, and to remember.
Dude. Wow.
A lot that you can learn from the elements.
That's heavy.
Yeah, a little bit. All right, now we're going to touch on a couple more here. So now we're going to touch on air just a little bit, and we're not going to go like super deep into the rest of them because I feel like we've been going on. This is one of the longer episodes I think we've done in a while, but I love it. It needs time. So if we look at air, so the science of the air is that the air is in the atmosphere, it's gases in motion, it's shaped by pressure gradients, it carries sound as a vibration, it sustains life through breath, and without it, fire and water can't move as they do. Right? In mysticism, air is the spirit, the breath, and inspiration. So every culture connected breath with life force, the prana, the ruach, Words spoken into air become spells, prayers, curses, and blessings. So to work with air is to sing, to chant, and to speak, to whistle to the wind, to burn incense, to let words carry intention into the unseen. Air reminds us that the invisible is powerful. Yeah, buddy.
Deep.
Nextly, we have the earth. Just to go back over it again, the science of the earth would be earth is a mineral, it's crystal, it's lattice. Quartz crystal vibrates when pressured. The earth hums with electromagnetic resonances, and soil recycles life into new life. So, in mysticism, earth is form, foundation, and the mother that holds us. Stones were altars, mountains were gods, caves were wombs of rebirth, and the ancients saw that the ground itself is alive. If you're looking at it through that view, which you can. The magic view is that you take the salt, which comes from earth. Salt is used for protection. Stones are used for memory. The sigils are buried in soil to grow your intention. Earth anchors the spirit into matter.
Oh,
That's a deep one. That's a deep cut.
We were just talking about, man.
That's a deep ass
Holy
cut.
shit.
So to touch earth is to remember our body's home. Our body's home.
The human body, the physical body.
That's why it feels so good to ground.
Yeah. No shit.
It's essential. You
They
know?
even say to, like, if you put your bed to where your head is facing north, like, you're supposed to sleep better, and there's all kinds of benefits to it because you're now like aligned with the, I'm not sure if it's the electromagnetics or what it is, the pole basically. And
Yeah.
so, because you are part of that system, and so if you align with it, then now you're in that natural flow, of what the earth is already doing.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, I mean, you think about it, all compasses, they all point to the north. Like that, like it's all based on like the North Pole. You're always trying to find where true north is. The magnet always wants to go to the north, right? And so if we are electromagnetic beings, it would only make more sense if we lay in the direction of the north, because if you lay in the south, now you have two different energies that are pulling from two different directions. You know, and it seems so simple because you're like, what difference does it make if my head is at one side of the bed, which is 6 feet the other way, compared to 6 feet closer? But it makes a difference, I would say.
It's as it's opposed to where your feet are. You know what I mean? If you're trying to line your body up with that, and so they even say, and I don't know if this is true, but like whenever when your kid was just a baby, and you would try to turn the baby to where it was like in the bed like the right way, the baby would like turn and be sideways because that way was probably north.
Oh,
And they
shit.
just like no, it's just
Damn.
like natural. I don't know if that's true. Obviously I can't experiment with that. My kids are a little more grown now, but I don't know. Maybe someone out there can look into that for us.
I might have to check that one out.
Little ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So nextly, we have the ether or the spirit. So the science of the ether is that ether was the ancients, ether as the ancients imagined doesn't exist, according to science. Of course it doesn't. But modern physics gives us quantum fields, space-times, and dark energy, which are unseen mediums that permeate everything. Something invisible does bind the cosmos, according to science, right? They just don't like calling it ether.
But they're all looking for whatever that is, though. It seems to be that they are all looking for the one thing that is unseen. We all know it's there, at least at some level.
Dude,
they're
and
trying
dark
to figure that out. The
and dark
mystery that
energy is 99.9% of all that is.
right. And so who's to say what's not possible when it comes to when we leave this physical body? You know what I mean? That's why I go back and forth, because even science is coming up with shit that shouldn't be happening, but it's happening. It doesn't need to make sense in our mind for it to be the reality of the situation.
And if you think about it, like if we can only see, what is it, like 0.01
0.01 or 0.0, I've heard someone say 0.003. I don't know.
something
but still,
so
a very
minute
small number
of the
right?
color spectrum, of the light spectrum, rather, right?
Yeah.
If that's all we can see, imagine, dude, if we could see 100% of it, I 100% guarantee that nobody would be scared of death.
No.
If you
No,
could
not-
literally see your divine spark or your divine flame or whatever it is that leaves our body, that goes out into the ether itself, and you could see that spark or that flame or whatever the fuck that is that joins into the rest of all that is, and then even imagine, I mean, you would then even be able to see the fucking cycle of if or when that spark decides to come back again.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that would be
Nobody's
all
living in
you'd need
fear
to
no
know,
more, dude.
You know, like,
Well, what I'm saying is, once everybody once science and people that are into spirituality and you name it, once everybody comes to this understanding, there's going to be, they talk about these other planets and star systems where there's possibly, beings that are enlightened and they're just like so far advanced. If there are aliens coming here or whatever, it's like they figured that shit out, dude. They can see the full spectrum, I'm sure.
and dude, this is why, like, I don't even trip about, like, if there are aliens or if they're not. Like, I believe that there's aliens, whether they be interdimensional or coming from another planet or whatever, maybe both, maybe neither, who knows. But, like, whatever that is, it is still consciousness, which means it is still us.
Right. And that's why, whenever if they are channeling, that's happening through your consciousness, and people that can remote view and travel to some far distance to see a family member that's in the hospital or something like that. They're doing it with their mind because that's what's possible with all of this. I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in, dude.
Yeah,
And
dude.
I feel like it's way more interesting than we even have come to understand.
Well, I think that, like, just being a human, and especially like a modern human, you're so used to the air conditioning, you're so used to eating whatever you want, you're so used to, just like sitting in front of a fucking TV with a bag of popcorn, or whatever, right? Like, and like we have the physical human, needs, in quotes, like all of those things are essentially like, to be a human, it kind of is the same thing of like, we're putting up our own veil. If you really think about it, like,
Yeah.
like every single thing that it means to be a human, especially in modern day, the modern day modalities of what it means to be a human is the veil itself.
Yeah. It's the lens that we choose to look through as well. You know what I mean? Based on beliefs or based on fears or based on whatever you name it. We create that matrix
Yeah.
ourselves.
So wild,
You
dude.
know?
Yeah. I mean, we're fucking fooling ourselves, really.
Yeah.
So as far as the ether goes within mysticism, the ether was the breath of the gods, the quintessence, the fifth element beyond form, the medium for spirit, thought, and prayer, the hidden web. So that's awesome within mysticism. Within magic, to work with ether is to still the senses, to feel the presence between breaths. It's the silence in ritual where intention leaps into the unseen. Ether is the reminder that reality is more connected than we know.
We've been saying it, dude. We don't know how to explain it, but we've been saying it.
It's there. Yeah.
It's there.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's the Tao. The Tao that can be explained is not the true Tao.
Right.
And
it's these things that are just so hard to express and even articulate, that's the difficult job that we have here, is trying to put words to things that there are no words to,
It's
So,
poetic in that sense.
here we are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is where, all right. So you're like, okay, I kind of get the gist of the elements and the elementals and maybe, a better understanding of what they can be used for symbolically. And maybe if we're trying to use them within ritual, maybe we understand a little bit more about how to connect with the flame and all these things. So now that you understand it and you want to start working with the shit, right?
Mm.
Then we get into weather work. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We want to start manipulating the weather. All right.
Okay.
This is just going to touch on it. It's not going to go super deep, but these are certain things that you can learn to do eventually once you start to really understand and work with the elements themselves,
All right.
which is, I think, is
Okay.
pretty damn cool.
Oh, yeah.
So shamans didn't control the weather, in quotations. They aligned with it. Dances, drumming, and chants weren't random. They were ways of entraining breath and intention with the sky. Sometimes the rain came because they sensed its timing. Sometimes because consciousness and atmosphere intertwined in ways science is only beginning to explore. Magical weather is not about domination, but dialogue. The rain dance is not superstition, it's communication with living sky. Dude, let me tell you something. I learned this. This was another inspiration on this show.
Mm.
So if you go back and you look at like the what was it? Like the Indian dancing for the rain, right?
Yeah.
What is that called? There's a name for that.
Rain dance?
Rain
I don't
dance.
Know. I
yeah,
don't know if
I
there's
think
a
that's
name for it.
actually what it was called. I don't know what the fuck I was
Okay.
thinking about.
All
But
right.
anyway, like the rain dance. Did you know that literally their dancing and their singing and the rhythm of which they were moving around, they recently just decided to try and track the vibration that was coming off of them, right?
Okay.
And wouldn't you know, literally down to the millihertz, it was exactly aligned to the vibration of the hertz that would be needed if you are trying to invoke rain. So everything has a rhythm to it, right?
Okay.
Every
Yeah.
single thing has a vibration, a frequency, an essence, an energy, right?
Mhm.
It's just about trying to align with that so that maybe once you do align with it, it comes, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That was the idea of the rain dance. So they hooked up these people that were doing the rain dances with the drumming and the chanting and the dancing and all that. And every single movement that came from the body, the energy that was created during said ritual
Mhm.
is the vibration of rain itself.
Oh, shit.
How the fuck did they know that?
They were just doing what nature was doing, you know?
They just knew it.
Yeah, they didn't have to think about it. That they just were that.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And that's what it
No,
means
that
to be
makes
more
sense.
more connected with nature. You think about it. Like it's only a recent thing is air conditioning. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like in the realm of time, AC, we are so blessed, bro. It is not even funny. Like
Pretty lucky, dude.
it is
Yeah.
it is like 90 degrees outside right now.
Mhm.
It's 68 in my apartment.
Right.
It's
Don't
wonderful.
even get me started on the humidity, you know? Not
Oh.
so much here, but we have been experiencing some humidity, dude. And I'm like, how
Sucks.
do people deal with this every day, dude?
Yeah.
Like, I can't breathe out here, you know?
Yeah, we're playing in the 90s over here, dude. The 90%ers. You're like
Right.
struggling with 40 over there.
Like 30 probably. Yeah.
But yeah, isn't that crazy about like
Mhm.
they just knew how to connect with the nature elements because we're not separate from it. We just think that we are.
That's what I'm saying. It's not so much a thing that they had to figure out how to do it. They were just that, you know, they were so in tune with nature that they were able to replicate it or just be the thing that was rain, you know, in that expression anyways, of the human expression of rain.
So the rain dance is not a superstition. It is a literal communication with the living sky.
Dude, that's that earth language that we read about in the Alchemist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like knowing the language of the earth. That is an aspect of that language.
100%. Yeah.
Dude,
How cool is
That's
that?
cool. That's great.
Like try working with the nature with like the fucking spirit of air conditioning. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Right.
natural to us.
No,
It's not going to work.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right. So that's just dabbling into that. There's probably going to be a whole future episode on that. I'm not even going to lie. Like
I'm sure.
each of these things that we're about to talk about are going to be future episodes themselves. This is just kind of a dabbling into.
All right.
Nextly, which is been something that I've been wanting to talk about for forever because I watched Game of Thrones and I was like, I wonder if that's real. Turns out it is. Okay.
All right.
And that is shamanic flight.
Okay. You might have
All
to
right.
elaborate a little bit.
All right. So, did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Dude,
Mm-mm.
sleeping. You're
I think
sleeping. on
my
that.
wife did. I didn't.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
She knows what the fuck is up then.
Yeah, she does.
So there's a boy in there who, you know, he fell from like a second or third story window and like
Okay.
became paralyzed, couldn't walk anymore. So basically all he had to do all day was just like meditate and think and all this kind of shit, right?
Mhm.
Eventually, as the story unfolds, he understands that like he can connect his consciousness to animals.
Okay.
And now he can control said animal because he is he is now that consciousness of that raven, of that fucking wolf or whatever, right? And he can guide that animal as if he is that animal.
Okay.
Okay, so I thought, man, if that is something that's for real, we need to find out about it. So it is also called shamanic flight. So around the world, shamans described leaving their bodies and riding with animals, whether it be eagles, jaguars, or even serpents. They called it soul flight. Science today shows the brain can extend itself, science today shows that the brain can extend its sense of self into other forms. Body schema experiments is one.
Okay.
VR embodiment, and lucid dreaming. The shamanic journey may have been an ancient way of accessing that same potential, blending imagination with reality until boundaries dissolve. So to see through eagle's eyes, to fly above, to return with knowledge, it was both vision and truth.
Oh.
Imagine. Dude, I've tried this
See-
before. Like I've like just even within a meditation we just did a couple weeks ago, where, you know, it was really cool. I really enjoyed that one, where basically like you can go in and, you know, you can be the dolphin underwater and then you transform into the eagle and then you transform into the wolf that's running on the land. And just trying to imagine what it would be like, what would it feel like if you have the wind beneath your wings and you can soar and fly everywhere and the wind's either going with you or it's going against you. And it's a lot easier to fly whenever you're going with the wind. So you'd much rather just go in that pattern. Or if you're the wolf, right? Like imagine what it would be to just be galloping through the forest and you're going 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, whatever it is. And you have just super awesome vision and all the crazy senses to where you're not worried about running into a tree or anything because you saw that tree from 30 yards away and you already planned for that move, you know? And like every single thing of what it would feel like, I think that imagining it is the first step. It would have to be.
Yeah, that's what unlocks that ability. You have to at least imagine being able to do it.
Yeah. So anyway, that may be it will be a whole entire future episode.
Yeah. I mean, if consciousness is the thing that gives rise to everything else, then why wouldn't consciousness be outside of us as well? This ether that we could travel through into something else and observe what they're observing.
And I'm happy you brought that up because the next one we're going to get into is remote viewing, sir.
Yes.
The modern world experimented with this too. The Stargate program tried to train psychic spies to see distant targets. Results were controversial, but the practice continues. Remote viewing may be shamanic flight reborn in modern terms. The ancients used ritual, drumming, and trance. The military used coordinates and protocols. Both aimed at the same possibility that consciousness can be moved beyond the body and see from afar. Whether it be eagle flight or an RV session, the idea is the same. Mind is not confined to the skull.
Of course not. Dude,
Fucking-
that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, boy.
And we're going to learn how to do it, you know, because we have to, because we must.
Dude, and that's funny because I was actually what was it? There was somebody that I always love looking into. Oh wait, you know what? I saved it to my phone. What is his damn name? Oh my god, I love this guy. Radon Dr. Dean Radin. That's his name.
All right.
Holy shit, he was part of Project Stargate, right?
Okay.
Which had everything to do with remote viewing and that kind of stuff. Dr. Dean Radin, you can still look him up. He just created a TikTok account. He has like 50 followers. He just created it, right? I reached out to him. We're going to try and get him on the show.
There you go.
Dude,
Yes.
one of the OGs of remote
Good
viewing.
shit. Good shit. That'd be great.
Anyway, he gets into all of the science for it, bro. Like he's sold. He knows that this shit is absolutely real, right?
Damn.
It's no question.
He's one of those guys that I'm going to need to do a lot of research just to come up with good questions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
We
he's
can't squander that.
And he's of the mind that like he comes from a science background. He's trying to explain this in scientific ways, and it makes so much sense.
I love it.
Dr.
I love
Dean,
it.
come on the show, dude.
That's what I need. Yes.
We're speaking it. So yeah, shout out to him. He's awesome. Nextly, the elemental toolkit. Each element has correspondences as well.
Of course.
So fire with courage, transformation, and the south. Water with emotion, purification, and the west. Air with intellect, inspiration, and the east. And the earth with stability, fertility, and the north. Also, there's ether with spirit, miracles, and the center. Magic works because these correspondences align symbols with forces. To light a candle, to pour water, to burn incense, to hold a stone, and to speak intention is to call the universe into harmony with your will.
Dude.
Come on now.
Speaking into the universe, telling it what you want to see, dude.
Dude, you're calling it into harmony to match your will.
There's times, dude, where you really feel like you're in tune with that and things are just like going exactly the way you wanted it to go. And it's like, that's magic, dude. You know, like so many things that we've experienced with just my wife going to school, and we're in the grind, dude, between her working full time, me working full time. She's going to school full time and me doing the show. It's like we're constantly just moving, you know what I'm saying?
Buddy.
And there's so many things that, you know, that I'll tell her, like, you know, look at it this way, or, you know, and then she's even come to me and said, oh, you know, I did it this way. And I said that this is how it's going to happen. And just like certain things. And then all of a sudden that's what we start to see in little, call them miracles or call them the universe working in your favor, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing, but certain doors opening at the perfect time. It's just like, man, it's almost like it's conspiring for you.
Yeah.
When you really lock in and really put your mind and intention and energy into that goal. You know what I'm saying? It's like it just things start to happen.
Dude,
you know?
Until you make the unconscious conscious, you know? That's it.
That's it, man.
So nextly, we have the grand elemental rite. So imagine standing in a circle. To the east, you call the wind. To the south, you light the flame. To the west, you pour the water. To the north, you place the stone. Above all, you call the ether. This was the great ritual of balance, to stand at the center of the elements, to align yourself with all the forces at once, was to become a bridge between heaven and earth. The ancients practiced this, and we can practice it still. So just as Symbolic Studies was telling us, right? Damn, I always forget his name.
Anthony. No, I'm sorry. Was it Anthony?
No.
Mario.
Mario, you said it earlier.
Yeah.
So just as he was saying earlier, whenever you got the magician or the Baphomet, right? The two fingers pointing up, the two fingers pointing down, it wasn't to say, I call upon heaven and hell. It was to make you the conduit between heaven and earth.
Right. And
that's what it is.
The symbolic understanding of the spirit or whatever was the center, you know, the thing that was outside of space and time, but like it was symbolically like the center, right?
Well, yeah.
And so if you're lighting the flame for the fire and you're pouring the water and these things are happening around you, now you're the center of that.
Yes.
Being that spirit or that infinite force, if you will. You know what I mean? Really trying to encompass the power and energy of the nature that you are within.
And not only just the nature, and it started, remember, as he said, it started with the polar deities. So it was imagining that the pole was the center and everything else flowed around you, right? And the same thing with the solar. Now we know that we go around the sun, so we are almost representing the sun at that point as a solar deity. If you're just looking at it for the symbolism of it, if you're looking at yourself as the solar deity, now everything flows around you. You're the sun, right? And so you're going to have the water over here, the fire over there, the air over there, the spirit above all, right?
Right.
And so if you're that, and you're that magician that's standing in the middle, or if you're the person that created the pentagram, right? Because all the pentagram it is just representative. It's the penta, it's the five elements. So you have, your earth, wind, air, water, fire, and fucking ether, right? If you have all of those and you're standing in the center of that, then that means that all of those are flowing all around you, and you have them at your use if you need. They are only, it's only one point of the star over there away. The other one's one point of the star over there away. It's all around you, so that you're at the center of all of it, as is the ether, right?
Right.
It's just so fascinating, the symbolism of it. And I think that if our mind works in symbols, of course it works.
Yep.
All right?
Because it must.
It must.
That's just nature. Can't
It's
argue
just nature
with that.
itself. Yeah. Nextly, we have the voice, the breath, and sound. So why do spells rhyme? Why would you chant? Because voice is fire and air combined. Breath fuels vibration. Vibration shapes reality. Science shows us resonance and entrainment. Mysticism shows us mantras and chants. Together, they remind us that to speak with intention is to shape the field around us. Words are magic, and they always have been. Yeah, boy. Next, we'll get into the weather-safe prayers. So it's tempting to imagine commanding storms, but true magic works with balance. Shamans asked for rain when needed, for winds to ease, and never to harm. We too can pray for balance, for gentle rain, for cool air, for fertile ground, and always pair prayer with action. So conserve water, plant trees, care for the soil. Magic and stewardship must walk together. I agree with that. So if you want to put it into your daily elemental practice, you don't need a grand ritual every day. Instead, work simply by breathing. So these are things that you can do to work with the elements. These are the simplest ways that you can, implement them into your daily practice, right?
Okay.
So breathe 10 deep breaths at sunrise for air.
Okay.
Simple.
Yep.
Place bare feet on the ground for 2 minutes for earth.
Simple enough.
Light a candle and set an intention for fire. Wash your hands with gratitude for water. And then sit in silence between them for ether. These micro practices weave the elements back into your daily life.
That's great.
And imagine all of that you can get done in 10 minutes.
Oh, easy. Dude, that's great. That's great.
Pretty
if you
solid.
Could start your day like that and just set the intention for that day or for that week or month, whatever the goal is, you know what I mean? And just work on that every day. Well, now you're using two of the most powerful things when it comes to manifestation and magic itself is time and energy. And attention, actually. You can throw that one in there.
Yes. Yes,
Perfect.
dude. So yeah, pretty freaking sweet. So, all right. So here's the truth. The ancients weren't wrong. They were describing reality in symbols. Fire is energy transforming. Water is continuity through change. Air is invisible breath and spirit. Earth is stability and form. And then ether is the unseen field binding it all. Science measures the mechanisms. Mysticism reveals the meaning, and together they bridge the gap. And that's what this is all about. Making magic real again. Not by fantasy, but by remembering that every breath, every flame, every drop of water, every stone, every moment of silence is alive with power. So tonight, take one breath, one step, one spark, one sip, and one moment of stillness. The elements are not outside of you. They are you. And when you remember that, magic is no longer a story. It's life itself.
Dude.
Fuck.
Damn.
Come on now.
Come on, man.
Dude.
What are you doing to me? You know? That's great, dude.
Tickling
That
the
was-
soul, sir.
I'm surprised that we have not done this episode sooner. I know you mentioned it before, you know what I'm saying? But we were supposed to have a guest tonight, but this turned out to be a fabulous episode.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's, and we've learned not to get upset whenever certain things don't fall in, the ways that we had planned, because the fact is that, things happen as they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they're either happening to you or they're happening for you.
Right.
And life is just a lot better whenever you look at it through the lens of it's happening for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the
Yeah.
facts.
Look at it as opportunity or something else is going to come along, and I'm sure we're going to have that guest on at a later date. And I'm sure usually how that happens is we'll have that person come on and it's just a great episode, almost like it needed that little extra time, and the timing is everything, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was definitely going to be a whole hell of a lot different conversation tonight. We were going to be getting on a Freemason. So, very different conversation.
For some reason I don't know why I was thinking it was going to be astrology. I don't know why I was thinking that. I know you told me too. But yeah, that was definitely going to be a much different conversation.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be a bit like astrology, but it's we're actually going to be getting on Tiffany Haney. She's going to be coming on Wednesday. So for the live show. Yeah. So for anybody that's listening to this, if you're listening on Patreon, then she'll be coming and on Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. And she's going to be doing the gene keys. And so we needed to give her like all the same stuff that we would for an astrological reading.
Right.
But yeah, I think that everything happens in divine timing. We'll get that gentleman on and talking about Freemasonry and all that fun jazz at a later point.
It's going to be super interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, dude. So, Sean, I think we have a tarot card, and you know what? Let's take a minute because we both have to shuffle now.
Yeah, let's do
because we're going to go Oracle and Tarot.
Yep.
All right.
Go for it.
All right. So, you know what? We're going to read the Oracle from the Alice in Wonderland deck.
All right.
It's the Wonderland Oracle. All right. So what we got it's a card called Keep Your Temper.
Okay.
And it shows Alice with the Cheshire cat. Or just looks like a cat, but I guess it could be the Cheshire. It says, when we are thrown this way and that by life, uncertain of what will happen next, our tempers can begin to fray. We may become irritable, less patient than we would be when all is familiar and comfortable. For any of us to make our way through life, we must be wary of our temper taking over our good sense. Remember, you will go farther when you harness your power and unleash it at the right time, which is, by the way, not right now.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right.
Which I think is a pretty powerful message, right? Especially if we're talking about the elements. If you think about anger, I would definitely associate that with fire, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And so you don't want to always be fire all the damn time and forcing your way into things that you don't need to be. I mean, fire can be used for a lot of good things, but it can be always, also used for a lot of bad things. It can heat your home, but it can also burn your fucking house down.
Oh, yeah.
So, you got to be able to contain the flame and not let it
About the
override.
balance, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, man. As far as the tarot, we got the Queen of Wands.
Queen of Wands. All right. That seems like a pretty decent card to look into. The Queen of Wands. Here we go. All right. Feminine energy of intuitive creativity and emotional intelligence combined with passion and heart-centered action are held within the Queen of Wands. In tarot, queens represent feminine energy that includes receptivity, creativity, nurturing, and love. The addition of the... Oh, come on now. The addition of the fire element combined with intuitive water gives this queen action-driven capabilities for giving as well as receiving. The Queen of Wands is seated facing the viewer, displaying confidence rather than passivity. Her gaze is to the left, the direction of intuition, symbolic of her connection to water and feminine energy. This powerful combination is much like that of the magician who channels the divine to manifest this reality, and the Queen of Wands has been historically referred to as the Witch of the Tarot for this reason. In this case, the term witch refers to her ability to manifest and is not connected to a specific religion. The black cat by her side, known as the witch's familiar, echoes this aptly given nickname. So the elemental key combination. So it's water and fire. So water signifies the queen's connection to love and emotions, while her place in the suit of wands connects her to fire, which represents passion and action. So that's pretty interesting that we kind of just got a fire card for the oracle, and then get this one that's water and fire, which I think kind of it flowed perfectly into this. You know, you can't just be
like
fire.
You said, the oracle was kind of like an amplifier, and so that's cool, man.
Yes.
I love it how they line up like that,
dude. Yeah, we should start doing that. Why not do a tarot and an oracle every time?
Yeah. Let's do it.
There's no reason not to. So the spiritual message says, focus on cultivating your intuitive powers within your spiritual practice and manifesting your dreams into reality. This may mean spending time in nature to rejuvenate your energy and spirit before returning to your responsibilities. Take initiative to work on healing any blocks to your self-esteem and sense of self-worth. You are becoming more confident, which will lead to immense personal growth and improved relationships. So the upright key meanings would be creativity and ambition.
Interesting.
Which makes sense. The creativity and the ambition. You think about water. I mean, it can flow in whatever direction. It takes many different forms. It's like the most creative thing that there is. The ambition being the fire, right? It's that thing that gets you going. Like,
energy,
why are you getting up every morning? Yep. So yeah, the Queen of Wands is a combination of the water and the fire, dude. Perfect. Why not? And I think that just shows the importance of not relying solely on one of the elements. I'm talking about the symbolic elements, right? Like, what does the fire represent within you, right? It can get you out of a lot of situations, but you don't want to solely only be fire. Like, anybody that's ever met somebody, somebody that's all fire, and you're like, dude, you're too much. Come on.
Calm it down just a touch.
Fan the flames a little bit.
Right.
Somebody get this guy a sprinkler,
What's going on here? Right. Who let this guy in here?
Who put that guy there? So yeah, awesome. And I feel like we have a pretty decent understanding of the elements now, right?
Oh, way more than before, for sure. Definitely room to grow. But dude, that was all encompassing, dude. It went
much
deep
fun
there for a minute.
It did get deep several times, for sure. So yeah, I guess now we're going to get over to the meditation. We do want to say we hope that you can join us for these meditations, and the only way to do so is to go join us over at patreon.com/metamystics. That link is down in the show notes below. As I stated before, we have a couple of different tiers if you want to go and check each one of those out, whether you want to join us for the Wonder Wiz days, or if you just want to be able to have access completely commercial free and have the shows a couple of days in advance, including being able to slide into our DMs and asking us whatever. Maybe you have a certain idea for a show, whatever it may be, come and join the one. You're already part of the one anyway. May as well join it. But if not, then we also have a YouTube channel. Go check us out at youtube.com/metamystics. You can check us out on TikTok. We're just at Metamystics. Same thing over at Instagram, which actually, it's not just Metamystics. Somehow, Metamystics was already taken on Instagram. I'm like, what?
Really?
Really? But we are at Metamystics111 on Instagram.
All right.
So yeah, definitely go and check that out. As a matter of fact, actually, I stayed at a hotel last night. My room number was 111.
Of course it was.
I was like,
That's cool.
Doesn't even shock me anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely come and support us in any way that you can think of. We really appreciate everybody helping us with the algorithm and helping us getting this message out. Also, if you just want to be able to leave a review, leave us 5 stars, whether it be on Apple Podcast or Spotify, however you want to do it. Share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us with all of the people that you know would get down with this kind of stuff. It seems like woo-woo to the beginner, but after a while, it seems like home. After a while, I would
Starts
say,
to
right?
really click, you know. And thank you for the people that have already done so. I feel like the people have really been coming through. The one, you know, has been coming through and helping us out with that and sharing. So,
Dude,
yeah.
it's been so clutch. We really appreciate all your love and all your help and all your support. So we just want to say that. So thank you. That being said, I think we're going to get over to the meditation. And yeah, I guess with all of that being said, if elemental magic came here and it taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
That was an interesting one, huh?
I had to wake up out of that one, felt like.
Yeah, I almost like, I didn't fall asleep or anything, but I got super, super entranced there.
Yeah. I felt like my hands kind of went numb, probably because of the way I was sitting, you know what I mean? But it's weird because you know when your hands go numb, they tend to get cold, right?
Yeah.
If you got poor circulation. But I felt like my hands and my arms were like warm, you know?
Oh, yeah?
And maybe because of the suggestion of the fire, I don't know, but it definitely felt like a warming aspect. I don't know, super interesting though. I was starting to use certain aspects of that, and this is what's really interesting about these meditations is the different sounds that you hear. You know, you can put certain properties to that, like the crackling of the wood. In your mind, you can say, okay, the crackling of the wood is just the energy that was the wood escaping, right? And so you could say that crackling of the wood is the transformation of the wood to ash, right? And so that's the sound of the transformation. So you can take those sounds and say, okay, well, those crackling sounds are actually parts of myself that are parts that I don't like. You know what I mean? And so the fire is taking that and transforming it into something else, and that's the sound that you know what I mean? So it's just little things that you can do in your mind and apply that and accept it. You know, just like you would if you were to write down, you know, things that you're releasing, and then you write it down and you burn it or whatever you do, and then for some reason it seems to work. Like for the next few days you start to feel like, oh, it's so you can't describe it, you know, but there's some aspect of yourself that accepted that and took it on as reality. So you literally changed something about your own reality. But that's just what's really cool about your mind, that you can do that. You know what I
Yeah, it
mean?
is.
In that point, it's not magic. It's just is.
Just like shifting your consciousness at that point. Yeah, I
that
felt
whole-
like, because at first I was like, all right, I'm going to really try to connect with this. Like, I want to be in that fire, you know, like I wanted to be part of the process of that combustion that is forming light, that is burning the wood and using it as fuel. I want to be part of that. And it took me a little while, and I was like, almost like, because, you know, that drumming is almost like a little intimidating a little bit, especially whenever you combine it with the fire, you know, like in a meditation. At least for me it was. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I'm looking at it almost from like a fear-based kind of mentality. Like, it shouldn't be intimidating. It should it's just another way of expressing itself. If everything is just one consciousness, then that fire is just another way of expressing said consciousness, right? And so I was like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to surrender to it. And it made me think about the whole process of like birth and death and rebirth and all this other kind of stuff. And like, if everything is just one consciousness, then that means that the very consciousness that I am is the same consciousness of what that fire is, right? And so, and if it all is one consciousness, then I am that fire, and that fire is me, right? In that sense, whether you look at it through all the different modalities of, you know, I was a fire in a past life, or I will be a fire in a future life. Maybe it's just all one thing. It's all happening right now, and we're only just viewing it through this linear kind of modality, right? But really, in all actuality, it all is just one thing. So I was like, I'm gonna see what it's like to be fire, you know, like, and just be it.
Right.
And dude, I just realized that, like, of course, fire is consciousness. Like, of course it is. Because if it wasn't consciousness, then it wouldn't do anything. You know, because in order for anything to be anything, it must first be conscious. Like, there is no such thing as physical anything preceding consciousness. Consciousness always comes first. So that fire must be a consciousness. So whenever people are like staring into a flame or staring into a fire or something like that, and they're put into a gaze, they're put into somewhat of a trance, that almost is our connection to that consciousness in a way, if you really think about it. And so then, dude, it was so strange because as soon as like that clicked in my mind, it was like, not only I wasn't at the bottom anymore. I wasn't the fire, you know, the logs with all the little charcoals and, you know, all the little things right at the bottom. It was like I was rising up. Like, I was no longer the wood that was being burned. I wasn't the fire that was even going through the wood. I was the fire that was coming up and forming like the point of the fire, right? And then I became like this little, you know, little sparks fly up out of the fire, right? Like a little amber that maybe you throw a piece of paper in there, and then that little piece of paper just, dude, you ever see like a piece of paper? It floats up like a couple 100 feet in the air. And sometimes you're like, oh man, I hope that don't start a fire, you know, but like, but it happens, right? And or you know, it could be paper, it could be leaves, whatever's real light, right? And dude, it was so strange. I didn't even think about this. It just like happened. But I floated up, and I was just that one little piece of ember that was still slightly burning as it was like rising up from the heat of the fire. And all of a sudden, my aspect, my perspective of just being in the fire, it went from, instead of being like, I'm right here, I'm, you know, like parallel with the fire, it went to, I'm up here now, dude, and I'm looking down at the fire. And to where I'm level with the sky, and I'm looking down at the rest of physical reality. And it was so cool because it was like a transformative. It wasn't like I was here, then I was just there. It was like I'm moving with it. And now my perspective of everything just changed because that's what it would do. Right. And it was like, it was almost like an eagle's eye view of that fire that was once part of the log or part of the combustion, and now it is mixing in with the rest of everything. No longer is it only contained as just fire. It is now rising up into the spirit, into the ether. You know, and I was like, holy shit, man, that was so cool. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think the idea of like changing your perspective into a different form of consciousness, not a different form of consciousness. It's all consciousness anyway, but like changing your perspective. Expression. Yeah, dude. Like, what a fun ride that is. And you know what? I feel like we should start trying to do that a little bit more, you know, like be the dolphin, be the leaf on the tree, or be the ant that's burrowing into the ground, or, you know what I mean?
Put the theory to the test, you know, if in fact, you know, consciousness is inside and outside of us, then put it to the test and see if we can actually do these things, you know, because really it really is just a hop, skip, and a jump. You know what I mean? We're already on that field anyways, all the time. You know, it's just a matter of moving through it. And so, I don't know, dude, I feel like it's possible, man. And as far as like the whole consciousness thing, dude, I feel like that is that's what it is, man. You know how it's like people say like, well, how come I don't remember my past life, or how come I don't remember the, the life that I was before this? Well, because you forget everything. It's like, well, all of my memories and all of the things that happened to this body are stored in here. You know what I'm saying? But it was the consciousness that gave me the awareness to experience those things. And then when you die, right, consciousness continues, and so there might be energy that was me, but not, it won't be me, you know what I mean? It'll be the energy that is me, but it won't be the memories of me, and so if
And
you look at
also,
it that
how does
way,
it
it makes sense.
and how does it pertain? So, like, for example, what if your most recent incarnation before being a human, what if you were just like that little charcoal?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was your life. Now, that
Mhm.
information of you being that little charcoal in that fire, and maybe that light is still going on for forever, right? Whatever. But let's just say that it fizzled out that night, and you had to find another way to reincarnate into something, because
Right.
that's just what consciousness and energy does. It has to
Right.
go into something.
Mhm. And the whole idea of me having to find another thing to, it's just consciousness itself. It's the one. It's the source. It's whatever you want to call it, but it's not necessarily me. That's what I think I'm coming to understand. People go into a meditation and access the Akashic records, which is the knowing of everything and every experience and everything that's ever happened and everything that will happen. It's like that is stored within consciousness, because consciousness was the thing that observed it in the first place. And so when you experience a past life, it's not necessarily your past life, it's consciousness, like a recording of consciousness itself. And so that, I think, I don't know, that
It's like,
what do I
it's,
know, right? But
but I feel like it's you that is the all-encompassing I am. It's you that is the observer. It's you that is the awareness.
Consciousness.
Like,
Right.
and we know, like, down to the very thick of it. It's like, you're not you. You're the you that's observing what it's like to be
Right.
you.
Right. Right.
Which
Exactly.
is a fucking Rubik's Cube of an even statement,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But that's
And-
really what we are.
Right.
And so we
Like,
we become
I
like,
think, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, dude.
no, I was just gonna say, like, we become so attached to what this is that we forget that we're not even that.
Right. It's like, am I the I who speaks or the I who listens? I think Optimistic Bank said that in one of his songs, and I was like, oh shit. He's always on one.
Dude.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. Fuck, dude. I think it's all fucking fascinating, man. And I don't know. I feel like something clicked tonight for me, anyways. And I'm gonna explore that and contemplate a little bit and see what it does. See if it tickles my fancy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, and also, like, think about it, just since we're on the subject of fire, like, is there a way for fire to live the wrong way?
No. No.
You know what I mean? Like, is there a way
Yeah.
for water to live the wrong way? And do you think water judges itself for making a left turn when it should have made a right one?
No. Because it can't. You know
All
what I
that-
mean? It just goes with the flow, man.
All that we are is the observer, and we can affect our decisions and everything that we make. Of course, like, the more we become aware with the I am, or with the consciousness, or with the soul, or whatever.
Mhm.
I heard somebody say this. It's like, it's so strange because as a human, we feel like we have so much anxiety because there's so many options and there's so many choices, and you could do this or you can do that, and you don't really know what the right what the right
What if I
answer
make the
is, and
wrong choice.
what's the right direction or whatever, right? It's like, Annie's 12 years old and tomorrow she'll be a whore, and nobody ever told her it's the wrong way. Like, that doesn't exist, right? But like, to the fire, it's like, the fire is just observing what it's like to be fire. And I think that that's all we really are. We're just observing what it's like to be Jonathan, what it's like to be Sean, through the eyes of what if that's what we are, right?
Yeah.
But somebody, to get back to what I was saying, is that somebody says that, like, whenever you're just human and you're just like, you're doing what a human would do,
Mhm.
whenever you can get in touch with that consciousness that you are, the I am, the all that is, the consciousness, the soul, the spirit, whatever it is, there is no more option of anything. You just feel guided by whatever that is, that there isn't multiple directions, that like whenever you go deep enough inside of you, there is only one direction to go. And that is that flowing force that makes it so easy that you don't even have to make a decision anymore, because the right thing is the natural thing, is the natural flow of this reality. You don't even question if you go left or right, because you're going off of intuition alone.
And which also really makes sense as far as the almost neutrality of the higher self. You know, when you contact the higher self, or you get in touch with that I don't know, higher intelligence thing, you know, it's so neutral when it tells you something. It's not like, fuck, you should have fucking did this, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I mean, you know, do it like this, or this is an option. You know what I mean? It's kind of like just observing, and based on your decisions, it's just observing that now, you know. And it's like, oh, if you want to see it this way, okay. You know what I mean? It's not like really choosing a side or a direction, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So
It's like, you know, look, if you want to make that decision, you can. Like, that path is already set out. Like, and this is what's going to happen if you make that decision, not in a judgmental way, but in order for this decision to exist, this path must exist. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that this path is the end all be all. It's that, you know, it can veer. I mean, it's everlasting. So of course there's many different ways that turn could turn into this turn, into that turn, and then eventually you get on the straight and narrow, right? I don't know, dude. It's just so fucking majestic in that sense. And that's what I've really come to just love about doing these episodes, because I feel like, just even on a personal basis, I feel like I'm just broadening my own understanding of, like, dude, who gives a shit about mortality? Like, we exist forever.
Right. Yeah, man.
You know?
I mean, and you can at least look at it that way. You know what I mean? Even if that's not so. Like, that's the crazy thing about it, dude. You know? It's however you want to choose to look at it is what your consciousness will see. You know?
You know what? And that just brings me back to the void again, you know? Because whenever I went through that void situation, I was so scared I thought I lost everything, and I was not ready to turn it in yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not ready to let go of that. I had way too many attachments. I had way too much unfinished business. And, you know, I felt almost as if it was my fault that the world ended, and it wasn't time yet. Right. And that's what you hear, like, about a lot of suicide cases, is that's why they always say that like, think whatever you want. I'm not here to be judgmental. I don't know the right answer, but like, why they say that it's the one, like, it's the unholiest of all sins is suicide, is because there is a path and you took that away from yourself.
Right.
Right. And that they say, I've heard this before, like with near-death experiences of people that, you know, purposely overdose or whatever it is. And then somebody shoots them up with Narcan and they're back again. Right.
Right.
But in that moment that they knew that they were about to go, there was so much regret, because they knew that, like, they saw the path of how their life was supposed to go, and they knew that it wasn't supposed to end right there.
Right.
And like, it's all like there is a plan for all of it. And it's not even that, like, somebody else made that plan for you. Like, I really believe that we're the ones that created the plan in the first place.
And think about this as going off of what you were talking about. Like, if you took it from yourself, you don't only change your own path or really just end that path, but you change that path for everyone that was around you as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody changes, not just, obviously you're gone. So, you know, but like the people around you, their life is, you take something from them too. You know? A part of you dies in them too, you know?
Which even ultimately, like, even though it wasn't part of the initial plan, I think even the initial plan probably has, like, curves and valleys and hills and, you know what I'm saying? That it's not even just a straight line completely predestined in that way. That I think that the entire all of everything is so damn malleable, because it's just the play, dude. You know, like all of it, we're just putting on a fucking play for ourselves, and we're learning a little bit. Like you learn a little something every time you watch a movie. You weren't even in that movie. How did you learn something from it? You weren't there, but we do. And I think it's probably just like that. You know,
That's it. We figured something out, I think, dude. I don't know.
Lock
I'm
it
really
in.
glad that we had this episode. You know,
It was the right timing.
it was, man.
So anyhow, yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up right there. So the one, we love you, and we will see you on the flip side.